Much light here. I got me. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, everyone, check it out. We're here for a Christmas edition of Boxing Chit. Myself, Josh, here along with Boz, wanted to do a little something. It had been a good while, so this is the last podcast, I guess you can say, of 2022 because next Sunday will officially be the start of the 2023 calendar year.
Mm.
So, with that, one of the things we wanted to do was talk about some of the different fights that went down in 2022. It was I guess you can say, kind of lukewarm year as far as I'm concerned. We had some pretty decent fights, but there was a lot that was left to be desired without a doubt. But we will discuss that. In the meantime, how's it going over there with you, Boz?
It's pretty much the same as every year here. It's kind of, cold and snow. Today we got quite a lot of snow, but tomorrow it's supposed to rain. So that sucks. I hate when it gets so slippery outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get some icy conditions there. That's pretty crazy. It's cold
Yeah.
here. Cold here. No snow. I had a little split
Yeah.
second of, I guess you can say, ice that was coming down yesterday, but it was literally only a
That's
short amount
boring.
of time.
Yeah, that's
So,
sucky too.
but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes though. So shout out to
Mm.
Mr. Pads. Peace, fellas,
Hey,
is what
Mr.
he said.
Pats.
Appreciate you dropping by, buddy. Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate you being here on a Christmas day. So Merry Christmas as well. We're here to talk about 2022 as far as the sport of boxing is concerned and what's in store for 2023. Hopefully, an even greater year of fights being made. So,
Hopefully, yeah.
well, to start things off, we actually kicked off 2022 with a heavyweight fight of note, some note at least. It was Charles Martin taking on Luis King Kong Ortiz. It was
Hmm.
in Hollywood, Florida, and it was
That long
actually a
ago.
pretty decent fight. Yeah, that happened on January 1st, and I
uh,
recall Charles Martin getting stopped, but he was winning the fight as far as I was concerned, at least up until the last
yeah,
round or so. But it was a pretty decent showing for the both of them as far as providing a little bit of entertainment value to set the tone for the year.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a very good, pretty good performance, as you said, by both. But it was like you said, Martin was kind of, ahead when that knockout came, but Ortiz power kind of, got him out of there, out of trouble. So, yeah, it was a
Yeah,
good
yeah. For a
scrum.
second there, it was looking like Ortiz had gotten old overnight, even though we know
Yeah.
he is an older heavyweight.
No, yeah, he's not a young bird, Certainly, he's like 41 now, I believe, or something.
Yeah,
42.
yeah, still hanging in there. I was looking at the Ring Top 10 rankings. They still have him in there at about number seven, I want to say, or eight, somewhere in
Mm,
there between seven and eight. He's there, so they still hold him
interesting.
in some regards. I guess you can say.
Hmm.
Shout out to my mother. Merry Christmas, son and Boz. Hey, we appreciate you dropping in. Uh,
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sure for joining us here on this Christmas day. Of course, you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. So we appreciate you all for sure. Here to
yeah,
talk about some boxing. So yeah, we were talking about the 2022 year. Then the next big fight was, or at least the big name was Joe Smith Jr. He actually took out Steve Jafar. This was on January 15th in Verona, New York, actually.
oh yeah, and Steve
So,
Jafar, yeah.
but this was just another step for Joe Smith Jr. because later in the year we know that he will eventually take on or not Dimitri Bivol, but Artur Beterbiev.
That's a
So
deal.
yeah, yeah, but he has fought Dimitri Bivol as well.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Now on January 22nd in Atlantic City, a big fight was Mark Magnifico Magasayo against Gary Russell Jr. It's so crazy that that fight was that long ago. It was in January of
Yeah,
this year, and we haven't seen Gary Russell since then, of course. But that's the typical. run with him. He'd do a fight a year or whatever. But the WBC title was on the line, and Gary Russell had that title for a long period of time, a number of years. I want to say probably 6 years or something of that nature.
Yeah, I think it was in March 2015 when he beat Johnny Gonzalez to
Mm,
win that title. Yeah,
yeah.
that was quite a destruction. Very impressive, even though Gonzalez was no longer at his prime. So, but still, it was an impressive showcase of his attributes as a fighter. His speed and power. Also, yeah.
Yeah. That was a heck of a win there, a heck of a stoppage he was able to get.
Hmm,
Yeah, he outclassed Gonzalez in that particular matchup.
yeah.
Now, in this Magasayo matchup, it was very intense early on. Then Gary Russell Jr. seemed to have gotten hurt due to, or I think it was it might have been his right hand, which is his power hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
And
yeah.
from there, he was pretty much fighting with one hand. I thought he did a good job for not using his other hand, but ultimately the judges saw it in favor of Magasayo, and he became the new champion, dethroned Gary Russell, who, of course, is now seemingly on the comeback trail, or at least he's continued to train and all of that stuff. He's in the gym and everything, but
Hmm,
that was a big change right there because yeah, we were used to seeing Russell
yeah.
with the belt.
But I don't think he made. I mean, maybe he had like five defenses in all those years. He was because wasn't fighting so often, as
Yeah,
far as I know. So yeah, I guess that's part of the reason why he kind of maybe he got kind of rusty, in the end.
yeah. Definitely, the activity is something that could always be brought up because for sure he didn't fight as often as some of the other champions or what you would have liked to have seen for a
Yeah,
champion. So yeah, that hey, I think that's a real deal thing. You know, of course, back in the day, thinking about the history of it, the champions fought very often, and you would have
yeah,
champions who would even take on non-title fights in between title defenses, which was a normal thing back in the
mm,
day, of course. But you don't see that a lot
yeah,
here. Closest
of
thing is
course.
like Canelo. We've seen in some years where he's fought around 4 times a year. Emmanuel Navarrete was fighting at a pretty high pace in terms of the amounts of fights per year for a while, but even he at this point has kind of slowed down a bit as well. So we don't
Mm,
often get as many of those fights from the top guys that we want to see. You know, you see it more so with guys
yeah,
trying to just build up their record. But certainly, I think it would be cool to see more of the top guys fighting more often. But of course,
yeah.
with the money, maybe they don't want to.
Yeah, now it's all turned upside down. Before, in the old days, it was like more these poorer fighters that didn't fight so often, maybe. But the top fighters were always fighting. Yeah, often. I mean, most of them anyway.
Yeah, yeah, crazy stuff. You know, we'll see
Mm.
how things go with 2023, of course. Shout out to Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz and more. He says 86 Boxing and Buys. Merry Christmas, my brother. Hey, same to you, same to you, Bruce. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays, all
Yeah,
that good stuff. Salute to you, Bruce. So hey, for those listening or watching, be sure to go check out Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Great content over there. Great personality there for Bruce. He's gonna have to write a book one day. But yeah, definitely check him out.
cool.
So yeah, just going through the list again. Of course, February we had Chris Eubank defeat Liam Williams, which is I guess a pretty decent win for Chris Eubank.
Hmm.
Then moving to February 5th, we had Jesse Bam Rodriguez fighting Carlos Quadras in Glendale, Arizona. That was like a sort of coming out party. I
Oh
guess Bam
yeah,
had been around, but this was his introductory to the top of the division right here, as far as knocking off the veteran and battle tested Carlos Quadras. It was in 12 rounds for the super flyweight WBC title. I don't know if you
yeah. I
recall
think
seeing that.
Quadras was already past his on the slide, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was a good win on paper anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly, certainly more so on paper. Definitely with you there, Quadras. Yeah, he's been in a lot of wars with
Yeah.
top level competition. So
Mm.
certainly that stuff catches up. And
He fought Estrada, I believe, twice, maybe or something. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
McWilliams Arroyo. I think he fought him.
It's three
Maybe.
sockets. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he
yeah.
he fought him, but that was a long time ago. But he got kind of lucky, I believe, because it was like a technical decision,
Hmm.
and three socket lost his title back then. 2014, I think it was. Mm.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That was the case. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, Quadras, he's been out there. Bruce Gas
Yeah.
says I got some great legends lined up for the next year. Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna be sure to tune in to that. Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Does a lot of great interviews. So certainly,
Mm.
we want to tune in to be able to check that out. So keep them coming, Bruce. Keep them coming without a doubt. We're for that. Uh, and Bruce Gaz asked, "How about Danny Garcia versus Brian Castano for next year?" Hey, that'd be an interesting fight. Interesting
Yeah.
fight. Uh,
Why not? Yeah,
yeah,
I would
yeah. I
like
mean,
to.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I think that Castano is the bigger fighter for sure. And he's solid, and I like Castano. I think that him and Jermell Charlo matched up pretty well. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting, to see how Danny Garcia does. He has that one fight at 154 pounds, and I admit he looked pretty good. But then again, he was going against the Benavidez brother. I can't think of his first name right now. The other Benavidez brother, who
Oh
was moving
yeah,
up in weight as well. What was his name?
Mark maybe, I don't know, something
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that.
But it was the other Benavidez brother, not David Benavidez, but his brother, who was a little.
Jose, he says.
Yeah, Jose
Yes.
Benavidez. Okay, thanks, Bruce.
I
Yeah, we
don't
appreciate
know
it.
where I got Mark from. Tell
Bailing us
no idea.
out. But yeah, Jose Benavidez, who of course at some point a few years back had got shot in the leg, and he's not moved much in the ring since
All
then.
right.
And so it was really not much of a contest. Danny Garcia dominated all the way through, and taking that into account, I think that it'll be good to see Danny Garcia in there with a legitimate 154 pounder, and Castano is without a doubt that. So maybe that's the possibility right there. Especially, hey, I would
Mm,
certainly like to see it, and as I would favor Castano personally, I would favor him. He's a bit more fresher, and I think he's solid. He can take a punch, even though he was
yeah,
stopped by Jermell Charlo. Well, Danny Garcia can take a punch as well, but yeah, I just
maybe.
like he's solid. His
Yeah.
activity. I think he can put his punches together well at times, so it'll make for an interesting fight for
Hmm.
sure.
The thing is, Danny Garcia hasn't really been tested yet at 154, so we don't know how well he would take punches from the bigger, hitters. So, but yeah, he's a tough guy, definitely. I mean, he proved that when he fought Matisse. That was quite amazing. He took a lot of big shots and just, bounced back and put Matisse down. That was how it was like, wow, this guy is like, he's for real, no, no, no joke.
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, and shout out to Alan. Alan says, "Terrific, I appreciate your channel." Hey, thanks. We appreciate you, Alan, definitely for jumping in the mix here. Always
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
having you in. And Merry Christmas to you and yours. And definitely, hey, feel free to come by, jump in more. Hey, we're always down for the discussion, without a doubt, there, Alan. So thank you for taking the time here on this Christmas day to actually join in with us as we discuss this here boxing content from 2022 leading into 2023 and what could be an interesting year. We may get a few of the fights that we've been kind of clamoring for a few years now, which is
Yeah,
always the story of boxing, right?
hopefully, yeah, it's just enough to mention Mayweather, Pacquiao, too. and
Yeah,
everybody knows
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah. Mayweather Pacquiao, that's the tone setter right there.
5 years waiting, and in the end, what did we get? Not much.
Yeah, that has set the tone for this century and of course this decade
Yeah,
now. As we moved into this one, this happened back in 2015, of course. Now in this decade, yeah, it seems like we're kind of rolling from that tone, but hopefully some
yeah,
things shape up. But yeah,
God, yes.
yeah. So also, I wanted to go February 5th. Apparently, on this same night, yes, it was Keith Thurman against Mario Barrios. I think this was Keith Thurman's first time in the ring since that loss to
Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, yeah, you're right, spot on it. So he defeated Mario Barrios, who is a decent welterweight, decent fighter. I like
Hmm.
Barrios a little bit coming up in terms of when he was still viewed more so in that prospect stage. He's had some step up fights now, of course, lost those. But that being said, it was a return bout for Keith Thurman, who was at one point the guy at 147 pounds. Then we know we had a number of years where he was hurt or inactive. I guess some of it had to do with
Yeah.
injury primarily, but yeah, it's just like he kind of was out and new blood came in, kind of took over the division, and next thing you know, Keith
Yeah.
Thurman was on the outside looking in a sense, and he's calling out Errol Spence, which is a reverse of what it was some 5 years prior.
Mm, yeah. I think Terminal has changed as a fighter since he became a champion. Because, earlier he was like this knockout, destroyer artist, however you want to
Yeah,
call it. And then he just started winning more like by boxing, being a little bit more cautious. And when he won the championship, the title.
yeah,
So I think quite many were kind of let down or disappointed that he didn't score more knockouts, because he could have probably, but he didn't want to, risk it. I guess so.
yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things. I know I gotta give it to him there. Probably up to 2017, yeah, he was in the mix doing some good things. And then from there, it kind of waned off. But
Even
he had some
even
good wins, taking
against,
out Porter and Garcia.
yeah, even against that guy, what's his name, Colazo, yeah.
Oh yeah,
That was a stoppage. It was like a corner stoppage. It wasn't really a knockout, And
yeah. Keith
yeah,
Thurman got hurt to the body at times, and you could see it
yeah,
visibly. But hey, he fought from it. So give him props. Well, interestingly enough, he's kind
yeah.
of in the mix, I guess you can say,
I
for
mean,
this title fight with Errol Spence here in FY or 2023. He's apparently in the
yeah,
mix for a
he's
title shot.
got he's got the ability definitely. So if he stays, focused, I can see him, actually giving both Porter, not Porter, Spence and
Hmm.
Crawford, are really, a run for their money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly, certainly. I remember I did this thing for my job. I did a presentation. It was on boxing back in 2017, and Keith Thurman was the top dog at 147. I said at the time that I thought Thurman would defeat Errol Spence at that particular time, but of course, we'll see.
Maybe, yeah, maybe he would have. Who
We'll
knows?
see. Now it's very much a bit different given Thurman's
Yeah,
inactivity, which I think certainly plays a role in things. Uh,
yeah. I mean, if you compare, I mean, all of them fought Sean Porter. They have that in common.
yeah,
Spence, Crawford, and Thurman. So if you look at how they all won against Porter, I guess that's a good comparison. Even though Crawford fought him last, so it's kind of not
yeah,
so
yeah,
fair. But he was the only one who did stop him, in the end. But that was a kind of spent Sean Porter, I would say, pretty spent.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. He was certainly on his last leg there,
yeah,
and yeah, but Crawford did what he had to do. He's a finisher without a doubt,
oh,
and
yeah,
gotta like that about him, which makes it so intriguing, in terms
yeah.
of seeing him against the likes of a Spence.
Because he doesn't have to be. He's got enough skills. He's very tricky with that southpaw and going from ordinary to southpaw stance or orthodox, however you call it. So he doesn't have to really go for a knockout, but he does. I mean,
Yeah,
always.
yeah. That's what makes him exciting. So certainly, we're looking forward to him in the next year. But we'll see what
Yeah.
Thurman does if he ends up fighting Errol Spence, which will be
Hmm. That would be nice.
certainly. Now, on February 12th in London, England, I think it's worth mentioning Danny Jacobs lost to John Ryder, who is now in the mix for a shot at Canelo Alvarez in 23 as far as
Yeah.
a mandatory defense. And that will
That
be an
would,
interesting fight, especially over in the UK. But I recall
yeah.
this fight with John Ryder and Daniel Jacobs, and I thought that it was a
Weird.
decent showing for Ryder in terms of
Yeah.
showing some grit and all, but I didn't necessarily think that Daniel Jacobs lost. But that being said, I don't think it was a robbery or anything of that nature from my perspective. I just
No.
think it was one of those fights where Danny Jacobs was coming in off of a little layoff and he didn't have a ton of urgency there early on, and maybe that came back to bite him. So John Ryder was able to pull off a decision, and Jacobs, of course, that just kind of pushed him a little bit back to the line somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen that fight, and Jacobs looked good, like first 4 or 5 rounds, and then he kind of. I mean, Ryder just bullied him, started bullying him in the middle rounds,
Mhm.
and pretty much, you could see Jacobs just kind of struggle, after that, and wasn't really being that effective with his punches or anything. So, but Ryder is a really tough and strong guy. I mean, he could have, yeah, he could have participated in those strongmen or toughman contests, that they have in certain places,
Yeah.
Alaska or wherever. Yeah,
Oh yeah, old John Ryder. Yeah, so yeah, he is one of those tough guys. He's been in with some pretty good
yeah,
competition. Won some, lost some, but he hangs around there.
yeah. If you look at his record, actually, most of these British level fighters that he fought, he beat them. Actually,
Oh yeah.
most. Yeah. So it was only or mostly against higher level fighters that he has lost so far. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's more can you ask for than to get to that world level?
yeah.
Sometimes guys they fail there, in more dramatic fashion. But yeah,
Hmm.
he hasn't been at least completely dominated from what I recall. So he can hang in
Yeah.
there with the best of them to a certain degree.
Callum Smith, that fight was very tough for Smith. I mean, I never
Oh
seen
yeah,
him fight. I mean, it's so hard to get a decision. So,
yeah. And
that
Callum
was,
is legit. So
yeah.
yeah, that bodes well for Ryder. So we'll continue
Mm,
to take a look and see what he does as he moves forward, and if he if of course is going to be the person to cash out in that Canelo sweepstakes here in 2023.
yeah, definitely.
Now, still looking at the calendar, February 19th in Tijuana, Mexico, we had Jaime Munguia defeat Demetrius Ballard, who was a guy out of this area. As a matter of fact, Ballard was undefeated at the time. It was a third round
Mm,
TKO. It was pretty much all Munguia because it
not
was a
bad.
major step up
Mm,
for Ballard. But Munguia is
yeah,
a name that, of course, will likely pop up again, but he is one of those young fighters that is out there. We're looking to see take that next step with the major fight. And 2023 seems to be the year, even though 2022 had a similar outlook. For sure, 2023 has to be the year that we see Jaime Munguia in some of the bigger fights in the division there at 160 pounds.
yeah. Hopefully, I mean, it's about time, of course. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he can't keep. I don't know if not saying he's avoiding them, but they are bound to find him by next year. Those big fights, at least one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, without a doubt. And then February 19th in Manchester, England, I guess it's worth noting. Kell Brook and Amir Khan finally faced off. Now I didn't
Yeah.
watch the fight, but I saw the highlights.
Of I remember them. You know that fight being talked about like in 2011, 12, I
I
don't know,
know it's
something
been
like.
like a decade
Yeah,
past its due date, right?
yeah, or
No,
even maybe a little before. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's at least 10 years in the making. That fight.
yeah, yeah. It was at a 149-pound catch weight. Of course, Amir
Yeah,
Khan has been picky and choosy about his opponents for the last 5, 6 years, but he's officially retired now. At least he came out saying
Hmm,
such. But he
that's
lost via
good.
6 round TKO. Yeah, he was pretty much 1 foot in, just looking for what could get him the most financial gain. And so
Yeah,
he had really waned off over the years as far as fighting. And Kell Brook, he was still out there doing his thing, but certainly a damaged fighter ever since that matchup with Triple G, where he jumped
oh
up
yeah,
2 divisions to try and take the middleweight title,
bad
which in
idea.
hindsight was it was exciting for us as a fan,
Yeah,
but certainly not a good idea for him.
no, I mean he did well in the first 4 rounds, but then
Mhm.
it was Triple G. The minute he started landing the big ones, that was the end of it. That showed the big difference, physically between them.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
and
remember that also Triple G said right after that, he said that he's a very good fighter, but he's not a middleweight.
yeah,
So
yeah, he did. And
that's the
he had
way.
his orbital bone broken in that fight.
Oh
And of
yeah,
course,
right.
that never bodes well because he would then get the other orbital bone broken in the fight with Errol Spence, which came after that. And of course, any way you slice it, that was not a good thing.
Yeah, I
Certainly
think
not a good thing.
Kel has really been instrumental in Sean Porter. I mean, getting better if you because
Yeah,
that fight. When I watched that fight, I was like, wow, Kell Brook. I didn't had no idea that he was so good. He really
mhm.
outboxed Porter. I thought he won like 9 rounds, maybe that fight or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Kell Brook. So we'll see if he's see what's in store for him. I don't know if he retired. Did he ever say he retired or no? I think he did
I
retire, right?
think, yeah, I
Yeah,
think he
he
said
retired
some.
too.
Yeah, I think he's like 36 now or something.
Yeah, so I
Same
think
as Khan, about the same age. I
yeah,
think they are.
both are retired now. So pretty decent career.
Yeah,
They were able to get to that world level, do some good things, have some big fights over the years, especially in the past
yeah. I
this
mean,
last decade. So
no
definitely commendable.
regrets. Yeah, no regrets.
No regrets at all. Now, Mr. Pat says, "What are your biggest disappointments in boxing during 2022?"
Quite many.
Oh yeah, yeah, certainly many. What do you think there, Boz, in relation to that? I do have
Uh,
one, the probably more glaring and significant one in mind.
those some of those decisions. Of course, we everybody talked about, and that's the fight that we're gonna talk about soon. I see
Oh,
George Taylor versus Jack Carroll, but I actually haven't yet been able to see that fight, but I
okay.
so but to me personally, I think well, there was certainly that Dillian White Jermaine Franklin fight that was a terrible decision, I thought, and there was one another. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, there are so many. I mean, this one was about. Well, I'm trying to remember which division it was. I think was one of the lower divisions, probably, but doesn't matter. I mean, there were quite many disappointments. I mean,
Yeah,
also with Fury, choosing to fight first Dillian White and then Chisora, even worse. He went from bad to worse. So that was, he just wasted this year away totally on
yeah,
fighting fighters that are not worth his time.
yeah,
Simply
yeah.
said.
Those decisions in boxing are certainly bad, and there seems to be nothing that is really done regarding such. So I don't see that going away.
Yeah.
We'll continue to have these bad decisions, though I think they should investigate some and
Yeah,
try to
I,
do some justice. But
yeah, I thought that actually Estrada didn't deserve the decision against Chocolatito in that fight. Also, Even though it was
We're
close.
on the
Yeah,
opposite end there, buddy. We're on the opposite end. I thought that Estrada pulled it off, and
I don't think so.
Chocolatito
Uh,
was a little bit lackluster there in the first few rounds. He wasn't
yeah,
too.
that's right. First four, yeah, that's right. But then he just took
He
over. I
did come
thought he
on, and he
won.
did. He did.
He won the next 7 rounds. I thought at least, or yeah,
No way.
something
No
like that.
way. Not all
I
set.
think it should have been a draw at least. At
Well, a draw
least.
would have been. I think a draw would have
Yeah,
been acceptable too. Yeah, I think that would have been acceptable. For many
yeah,
certainly. Hey, they match up well. They're sort of like uh, Pacquiao
yeah.
and Marquez, where they
Marquez.
just kind of
Yeah.
match up so well that you're just gonna have a good fight every time they're out.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to
For
see it
sure.
again. They both entertained the idea of a fourth fight, so I'm for
Or
it.
they even more remind me of Israel Vasquez and Rafael
Oh
Marquez.
yeah. That was a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Some good
Oh,
fights
that
came out of
was
that. Though the last
yeah,
fight wasn't Vasquez dominated in that last one.
yeah.
He
That
was,
was when he was already
yeah, he was
passed.
no
He
longer
was
the same fighter.
knocked out in 3 rounds, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Rafa.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
the
So
first.
those are some good ones. And of course, Mr. Paz, the biggest disappointment is that we didn't, from in my opinion at least, is that we didn't get to see Crawford versus
Yeah.
Spence, the two
Mm,
best welterweights in the world, both in their prime, with nothing in front of them stopping the fight from happening, seemingly in terms of competition. Of course, we had some young crop of welterweights that are making their rise, Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis, but it was the perfect setup. Crawford defeated Sean Porter. Errol Spence defeated Jordanis Ugas. Those were probably the two other best welterweights outside of the young guys. And it just seemed like all roads were there and set for us to get Crawford and Spence. And it wasn't a situation with Mayweather Pacquiao where we had back and forth on drug testing allegations and things
yeah.
of that nature that drug out. This was just simply the business side of boxing not working out and failing the fans and I guess the fighters themselves. And you see on social media at the very least, people taking sides. Some people blaming Crawford, some people blaming Spence. Uh, it's just one of those things. It just kind of shows you the craziness of boxing. I did see the thoughts from Crawford on this, and I do think it was fairly genuine. It seemed to be, in my opinion, at the very least, in terms of him dealing with Al Heyman, who we know has a strong grip on the sport, at least half
Mm,
the sport, at least. Thinking about the PBC piece of it,
the
and
puppet master.
yeah, and it just didn't work out. And it seemed like everything was shaping up for this fight to happen. And lo and behold, we're now going to be moving into 2023 with both fighters a year older.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if this fight does happen, and that's a big if at this point, hopefully we do get the best of them at that particular time.
How
And
old, how old is Spence now, by the way? It's
I
30.
want to say he's probably like 32, 33.
Yeah,
I have to look him up.
yeah, I
But
think so.
Crawford is about 34,
Five,
35 or something like that. Excuse me.
5. Yeah, it's like 80s. I think there are like 3 years actually between them only, because it seems so much more. Because maybe it's because
Yeah.
Spence looks kind of like very boyish, while Crawford doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now Crawford is 35, Spence is 32, right? So, yeah, as
yeah,
mentioned. Now, let me see. Crawford, he turns, when's he born? I'm trying to see when he turns 36. September. So he turned 35 this year in September. So
should make the fight until then. Let's hope before
yeah, I
September.
mean, come on, we need this thing made before he turns 36. Not that
Yeah,
that's the age I am right now. Not
it's
that it
like
is
yeah,
going to just fully take away from him, but come on, we need this
yeah.
fight made.
Usually, I think it's 37. That's kind of the end, for most of them of their best year, the prime. It kind of ends like that. Not gonna
Yeah,
scare you, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
You know.
prime is over soon, but but
Oh yeah,
mine was over
I know.
already.
I felt it when I'm getting up out of chairs and going upstairs.
Yeah, right. And you can no longer perhaps fall asleep so easily,
I
like
need
as
this big
easy.
payday before the time runs out. I need it. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. I know. When I was 37, I kind of felt the big difference. I guess
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna keep hopes high, but certainly that's the disappointment for me, and I know that's the disappointment for a lot of boxing fans as
Oh
well.
yeah.
That fight dragging out and seemingly
Yeah.
no closer at this point than it was a couple months ago when it seemed that it was fairly close. But now, who knows, right? Who the
Yeah.
heck knows?
I just wanted to mention something that I just saw today about. It seems like Okoli is now, at odds with Hearn, so he will probably be
Mm,
leaving his stable now. Yeah, there was
mm.
some talk about money, as usual.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
his name was coming up.
yeah.
Oh, Lawrence Okoli. For those that don't know, the cruiserweight champion, or at least one of the cruiserweight champions. He has at least one belt.
WBO,
He may have a couple. Okay, just that
WBO.
one
Yeah,
WBO. Yeah. So yeah, Lawrence Okoli. There was
I
I know
think.
he's under
Yeah,
that table with CBS. Chris Billum Smith. Someone had made a mention a
you're
comment
right.
who Chris Billum Smith should fight next. I said Lawrence Okoli. Why not?
I think probably first. I mean, they should probably have him fight or will hopefully soon against someone like Opetea,
Oh
or
yeah.
even the other guy who is called Gulamirian. Yeah, he just came back recently after 3 years, I
Or
guess.
even Maris Breedis.
Yeah, well, I don't know about him. Well, all right, he's a little bit
Of
tall
course,
now.
he doesn't have the belt now. He was
Yeah,
still. I thought he looked pretty good in that Opataya fight, and it was closer than what it seemed as far
yeah,
as I'm
just the younger guy. He's got more energy, I guess, Opetea. So yeah, well, not so much taller. He's a little bit taller. I think only an inch.
yeah,
But I
Opataya
was
had him.
I was surprised when I first saw how old Breedis is. I mean, I thought he was like in his 20s when he just became champion. He was like already over 30.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it happens like that sometimes for some, especially in the
Yeah.
cruiserweight division, which hasn't always had that glitz and glam. And I guess you could argue it
No,
still doesn't.
no, but it's become stronger at least the last few
Yeah,
years. Yeah, definitely stronger.
yeah. I think we're both in agreement with that. Certainly, there's some good fights to be made there. And Opataya Coley, that would be a very interesting one. I think it would be a pretty action fight, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Both guys are more like offensive fighters. So, yeah, here we have.
So yeah, Mr. Paz Opataya broke his jaw on both sides and apparently is going to be out for another half a year or so, unfortunately. Wow, yeah. Yeah, I knew he
Oh,
had jacked up his jaw in that fight, but yeah, I didn't know it was on both sides. Wow, that's pretty crazy. But his mouth was hanging open in some sense, pretty with some blood there.
hmm.
And yeah, that sucks right there.
Yeah,
I've never really had a broken bone, actually, in I just can imagine the broken jaw. I've known people
yeah.
who had them. It seems like it pretty much sucks to have a broken jaw.
Yo, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully he gets well. I'd imagine they probably won't throw him right in the mix when he comes back. He'll probably have a tune-up or something, given his time off, and
You know
just to make
what
sure
happened
everything is good.
with Victor Ortiz when he came back too soon after getting a broken jaw against one of those. Was it Cito Lopez? Maybe, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
Hosatito.
he was hit by that guy Colazo, and who is not really a big puncher, but it was enough to knock him out, break his jaw once again, or not break. Well,
Oh yeah,
sort of break it, re-break his jaw.
Luis Colazo.
Yeah,
Yeah, Colazo's been around there, but yeah, you definitely have to watch that stuff. Anytime you have any of those broken bones or whatever it may be in the face. That is
Mm,
something to certainly watch, considering the sport in itself and your boxing, and that's a target. But
mm,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he does when he comes back.
mm.
Moving ahead to Glasgow, Scotland, a name you brought up, of course, February 26th, Glasgow. That was when Josh Taylor defeated Jack Catterall for the IBF, WBC, WBO, and WBA super lightweight titles. That which we
Yeah.
call undisputed. There, people undisputed, and he was able to take out Jack Catterall, who had a great showing in what was the biggest fight of his career. We all know Josh Taylor, how tough he is and how he's battle tested. His resume, he had
Mm.
to earn those titles the hard way by going through legitimate competition. And Jack Catterall, this was his chance, and instead of freezing on the stage like we've seen some young fighters do, he actually stepped up and put on arguably the best performance of his career, though it didn't end in his favor. What were your thoughts on that, Boz? Though I know you have some
That
strong
was,
thoughts.
yeah, I mean, that was really a big robbery. I mean, yeah, I was quite disappointed with Taylor. I don't really, I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm still a fan, but slightly less big now, I guess. When he beat all those guys like Baranchik and Prograis and Ramirez, it was amazing. Really, he showed he was up there among the best. But that fight, I don't know what happened with him. Maybe he didn't take Catterall seriously enough, or maybe his style was wrong for him. I don't know, but and Carroll is not a puncher really, so could have gone even worse had he been a puncher. I guess
Yeah.
who knows, maybe he would have stopped Taylor even in the end. But yeah, I mean, I know everybody has said that that was a terrible decision. Everybody I talked to about that, and I gotta agree. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of people who felt that Jack Catterall deserved a nod in that fight for sure. I
Mm,
just so happened to come in like for the second half of the fight, so I didn't score it as it was going on because I think I was out on the road some or something of that nature. Came in for the second half of it and caught that piece of it,
mm.
and yeah, it looked like Josh Taylor at that point had been through some crap, and he had, I guess you can say,
Yeah,
he
I
kind
mean,
of held in there. It got a little bit ugly as far as just the overall fight there towards the tail end. It was a little bit rough and ugly.
when you hold all the belts, you're the undisputed champion. It's such a pressure, actually, and he felt that pressure, I guess. And but I don't know, really, he should have just moved up to 147. I don't know why he took that fight in the first place.
Yeah, this was supposed to be his fight to elevate him to 147 in the potential direct
Yeah,
fight with Crawford. They
did
had
that
Crawford.
backfire, backfire badly.
Yeah, it did. I know they were yeah, because they were setting up him and Crawford for eventual showdown
Yeah,
that didn't
that would have
pan
been
out.
that would have been awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, it
simply.
would have been. But after that fight, we were like, maybe Josh Taylor shouldn't go to 147 right now, or at least jump in there straight with Terrence Crawford. If I'm at to
Yeah.
take some fights there first. But he's gonna be back. Real quick, shout out to Gaurav Sharma who says, "What up, bros? Hey, appreciate it, brother. Thank you for dropping in and joining us here on this day, the 25th of December. We all know what that day is. So
Mm.
thank you for being here to talk about some boxing. We enjoy having you on for sure. Then Mr. Pad says, being Shalon said on Talk Sports earlier this week that the Catterall Taylor rematch is agreed and will take place in March 2023 in Glasgow. Cool, cool. I had saw some headlines that were mentioning such that they had an agreement in place. So that is pretty awesome. We're gonna get that rematch there, Boz, and I mean the stakes are gonna be high this time. So we'll see who's
Yeah.
gonna make a definitive statement.
Yeah, what happens usually in these rematches is that sometimes these guys that were robbed, they don't always perform as good in the rematch. So I've seen that several times. and the guy who got the stinking decision, I will call it, kind of pulls himself together. That's like all that's often a good I would say it, excuse or motivation, to just train harder and try harder. So
Yeah,
usually they do better in those rematches, but sometimes they do even worse. So we'll see how it will go for Taylor now.
yeah,
This
yeah. It should be interesting. It should certainly be interesting. Shout out to Rodolfo Rivera Jr.
Amen.
How's it going, buddy? He says, Merry Christmas, 86 and Boz. Merry Christmas to you, Rodolfo. Appreciate you dropping in, my friend.
Merry
Thanks.
Christmas, Rodolfo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for being here with us. He says, and Rodolfo says, yeah, it was a wake up call for Josh Taylor. Indeed, indeed, a wake up call. Indeed, you can't take anyone lightly, and you certainly have to be focused 100% of the time, especially when you have all of the belts, because there is always someone gunning for at least
Yeah.
one of those belts on any given day. And Jack Catterall is still going to be a problem you have to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see how
Hmm.
Taylor approaches it in this next matchup. So looking forward to
Yeah.
that without a doubt. And then Rodolfo Rivera says, "What did Santa get you guys?" Well, I got a jacket that's on the way, I believe. Outside of that,
Nice.
nothing much. Santa he usually skips over for some reason. Back when I was a kid, he showed up all the time, but now he's yeah, he kind of does his own thing.
Sad. Well, I got, my birthday is like on the 10th. So that's like when I got a gift, which is
Oh,
really
cool,
great,
cool. Oh
which
yeah,
was
that's
this.
right.
It's like how you call it? Not a selfie stick, but something similar. It's like where
Oh, the
something
gimbal.
that yeah, put your phone on and then it kind of moves it around when you want to
Oh yeah, I want one of those.
either take pictures or film, like do videos. So that's a nice gift
Yeah,
for
like the
me.
little gimbal deal, because they keep it
Yeah,
steady, even though it's moving, it stays in the same little steady spot, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
pretty cool.
it's a Mimo DJI. It's called.
Okay, Mimo DJI. Yeah, cool, cool, awesome. So yeah, that's what we got, Rodolfo. Hopefully you got something
Yeah,
something good. We'll see. We'll see.
not
Hey,
cold in your stocking.
yeah, yeah, none of that. Shout out to Hyphy. What's up, Hyphy? Appreciate you dropping in,
Yeah,
buddy. He says
I
looking
see.
forward to Ioka versus Franco.
Yeah.
Certainly there, Hyphy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Franco. I like Franco. Good young fighter. Been in a few tough scraps or whatever, and this will be a good opportunity for him, especially if he was able to knock off Ioka. And I think that's going to work wonders for him as far as continuing to push his name out there. So that
Yeah.
is a good fight to look forward to, without a doubt.
Hmm.
And we appreciate you dropping in, Hyphy. Yeah, yeah, been a good little while. Appreciate seeing you there. And we have Mr. Pads, a nice coat. At this age, you buy yourself a gift. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Kind
Yeah.
of just kind of comes and goes throughout the year, right? So yeah, you have to get yourself something. The good stuff, though. Good stuff. So hey, this is a Christmas gift here. We're all celebrating together, talking
Hmm.
boxing, right? That's a gift in itself, right? All right. So moving ahead, we're talking about 2022, the calendar year 2022 fights leading up into 2023. We've gone through some of this stuff that has gone down. Some of them we kind of just touch on briefly, like this February 26th Las Vegas, California fight between Hector Garcia and Chris Colbert, where Hector Garcia defeated Chris Colbert via decision, and Chris Colbert, of course, had a lot of hype surrounding him. He's supposed to be the next big guy there at featherweight or super featherweight. And of course, the gravy train came to a stop. And we know that Hector Garcia is going to be fighting Gervonta Tank Davis here in January 7th, if I'm not mistaken. But Garcia is moving up. So that
Right.
is interesting for sure. That is certainly interesting. And then on that
Yes. So.
card, Gary Antoine Russell defeated Victor Postol, which I thought was a pretty solid performance for Gary Antoine Russell. And then Fernando Martinez defeated Jerwin Ancajas. So and Cajas had that
Yeah,
IBF.
that was the end of a long reign, championship reign. I think he had made like 9 defenses on
Yep,
cars.
yep. So those are all pretty solid right there. Solid performances for the winners for sure on that particular card. Rodolfo Rivera Jr. says, "I heard Charlo got injured.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, yep, did see that. So the undisputed fight between Jermell Charlo at 154 and Tim Zhu of Australia. That is going to be postponed, at least for right now, postponed because Jermell
yeah.
Charlo apparently, I think it was broke a hand or something of that nature. And
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
now that's going to have to heal. So I'd imagine,
yeah.
considering the type of injury it is, maybe Tim Zhu fight someone else. I saw Tony Harrison threw his name out there, said he'll be a replacement. I retweeted it. I retweeted that. So I said, why not? But yeah, because otherwise Tim Zhu will have to sit out for what could be a pretty good while, uh, considering
Yeah,
the broken hand.
that's something you don't want, when you are a young fighter on the way up, and you have to suddenly wait for a fight. That's not a good scenario, right?
Yeah, and of course, unfortunately, there's no other belts or shots at a title, of course, because Jermell Charlo has them. So if he does fight, likely won't be a title on the line unless they do some kind of interim type thing, which
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Actually, it's a way to get a
Hmm.
sanctioning fee, but it still won't mean the same for sure.
Yeah.
Hyphy said the hand injury is going to lead to Jamel fighting only once within the calendar year for the fourth year in a row. Wow, yeah, that's pretty crazy right there. Yeah, one fight. So,
But he said quite a year. I mean, that one fight he said this year was some victory,
oh
right?
yeah, undisputed at 154, making history in the
Mm.
four belt era.
Yeah.
So that is pretty solid for sure. But yeah, certainly a blow. And Jamel, he's had some pretty good momentum, and yeah, he has been taking on the top competition at 154 pounds. So yeah, that sucks that he's going to be out for a good while. Maybe one
Yeah.
fight this year, as mentioned, and whether that's Tim Mizzou, that's that question. I guess we'll find out here a little bit
Mm.
later in 2023. But yeah, I guess if
Yeah.
you're in Tim Zoo's
Oh,
place, you have to make a decision on what you want to do as well.
I was I was really looking forward to that fight with
Yeah,
Charlo too. I think too is probably one of his best. I mean, yeah, one of his best challenges so far, or was anyway. No, we
yeah,
don't know when they will fight.
yeah. It certainly has some intrigue to it, without a doubt.
Hmm.
And yeah, so hopefully, we get it at some point, like you said. Um, Rodolfo Rivera says that sucks indeed. Happy holidays, hyphy,
It
hyphy.
always sucks when it happens, but
And Rodolfo says he's undefeated while fighting one time a year. Kind of impressive. Yes, it is. Without a doubt, it is. So yeah, that was that. Then of course, February 27th in London, England, we had Lawrence Okolie defeat Michael C. Slack, WBA Cruiserweight title
yeah,
on the line. We mentioned
chess
Okolie,
block.
chest
Yeah.
slap,
Mm.
according to you.
Yeah, I know it's that's the way it's pronounced. I know they write like
But
like
yeah,
like
no,
that. The ch
no, that's good to go. But
Cheshlock,
so yeah,
or maybe even Cheshlock. I don't know. It's possible they say Cheshlock.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember this fight. If I'm not mistaken, this was that ugly, a lot of
Yeah,
tying up and rabbit punching
yeah.
craziness.
Cheshlock is a tough guy. I mean, even though Coley had him down in the fifth round, after that it was just a lot of wrestling, a lot of ugly fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
not
was,
one with replay value. So if you haven't seen it, you can
no.
just watch the highlights, and I think you'll catch the good the bulk of
Yeah.
what went down essentially.
I don't know why, but Polish fighters tend to be really tough, and kind of macho tough. I mean, because with Russians and Ukrainians, it's kind of the climate and all that stuff, very harsh. So you have to
Yeah,
be, prepared. You have to be tough or strong. But Poland is not like that, really. It doesn't have the same climate or anything. So
yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah,
lot milder, yeah.
yeah. We have some decent Polish names out there right
But
now.
they have a strong interest in combat sports. They also have
Mhm.
their own kind of MMA promotion. I
Oh,
forgot
okay,
the name, but it's kind of There are some fighters from my side of Europe that are also compete there. Yeah,
okay. All right, good stuff. Yeah,
mm,
shout out to Poland, the
yeah,
fighters of Poland. Um, March 4th, Fresno, California, Jose Ramirez defeated Jose Pedraza. That was a decent fight. Jose
yeah.
Ramirez was bouncing back from that loss to Josh Taylor.
Josh, Josh. Yeah.
And Ramirez's name was out there recently because there was talk of him fighting Regis Prograis, which would have been an excellent matchup, one
Mm.
that I figured we would see at some point. But he turned down the fight. Now, I read something saying he turned it down because of the purse split, which was like 65-35 in favor of Prograis. That's what I saw, something that
Hmm.
stated such. I
Yeah,
don't know
maybe,
that with 100% validity, but it seemed to be a purse split issue. But I don't
probably. Yeah, these Mexican fighters don't usually, kind of. How to say shrink from a fight. It's if they turn down a fight, it's usually because of that stuff, money. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hyphy says Jose Ramirez is such a disappointment. Didn't even try to make the Regis fight. Yeah, that is pretty disappointing. Jose Ramirez, at least up until this point, I
I
felt it
mean,
seemed like
he
the guy
would have
that would
lost anyway.
catch anyone.
I think he would have lost anyway because I think he's
Yeah,
like a come forward fighter that works against some type fighters, but I don't think it would have worked so well against Regis Progress. So
yeah, he's usually pretty exciting, but yeah,
yeah,
this would have
but
been a
of
great match.
course. Yeah, who am I to say? We don't know until we see them fight, of course.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Yeah,
You never
yeah,
know.
but of course I would favor Pro Gray pretty strongly. Yeah.
Okay. So Hyphy says the purse split is irrelevant because the fight didn't go to purse
Hmm.
bid, meaning they could have negotiated and made a deal without purse bid, but Jose didn't even try. Oh, okay, I didn't know that piece of it. Good stuff there, Hyphy. Putting us on game
Really
there. So it
got
never went to purse bid. Interesting.
really, really got it in for Ramirez.
Hey, Ramirez, he's been so I know he lost to or was this the only fight he had of this year? As a matter of fact,
Yeah, I
after this
think
loss,
so. Yeah.
because
Before that, he was undefeated, right? Yeah,
he's only
before
got that
Taylor loss.
that one loss to Taylor. Yeah. So let me see. I'm just trying to see if this is the only fight he had. Yeah,
Because that's where you could see that his strategy doesn't really work against guys who can box or counter punch like Taylor did, in that fight.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. So he's 27-1, 17 knockouts. Exciting. He's been exciting in pretty much the majority of his fights that I've seen. But
Mm.
yeah, that's his only. This turned out to be his only fight. So March 4th of 2022. So he's bordering as we jump into 2023, depending on how things shake out. He's going to be heading towards that year out mark, which
Mm.
never bodes well. But then again, he only fought once in 2020 as well, or in 2021 and 2020. Interesting. You
Mm.
didn't know that.
No. Hmm. Well, it's been a lot of that now in the Corona times,
Yeah.
lockdown, and all that. It's really ruined a lot of fighters' activity and some fighters' career, even I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, he was on a heck of a run. Yeah, he had Antonio Orozco. Oh yeah, he beat Amir Iman.
Orozco,
I
yeah.
remember when he beat Mike Reed, who was out of this area. So he then he went to Amir
Maurice
Iman.
Hooker, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Orozco, Zapata, Hooker, Postol. Man, he was on a heck of a run there. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. He was like the top dog in 140, I guess, for a while anyway.
so
So,
hopefully, and I guess time will tell if the Taylor loss has changed him to the point where we're no longer going to see him with that same type of grit, tenacity, and hunger for the best fights. But yeah, we're not getting this
yeah,
Prograis fight, so that could be a sign in itself. And I know Prograis is game and ready to go. He's been ready for whoever is willing to give him a fight.
yeah. Progress was kind of lost there for a while. He has gone out from the radar, but then now, it's kind of weird because it seems like he was gone like really long, but he wasn't really, but he just
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
fight
he doesn't
again.
really. He's a kind of high risk fight, but he may have been. He's not with one of those big promoters, so of course
Yeah,
that probably didn't play into his favor. He fought on one of those Triller cards. I think it was like one of those Jake Paul events a year or so ago against Ivan Redkach. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
he made a statement here in
Oh
stopping Joe
yeah.
Castaneda for sure.
Ivan Redka, he is just, I don't know. I don't think he is just garbage, pretty much. I think he was kind of hyped, but that was until that guy from Montenegro destroyed him, Zlati Chanin. Yeah, that's right. That was.
Yeah, not the king. But yeah, yeah, we'll see though. We'll see.
Mm.
Um, Rodolfo says, "What round does Tank stop Garcia? Hector Garcia? Interesting. I don't know. It's
Or
that's
is it Ryan Garcia, maybe?
oh yeah, or yeah, are you talking Ryan? But I'm thinking Hector since that's going to happen first. Just so
No,
happens
Ryan knocks
Garcia.
him out in third round. No, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a very interesting one. But I don't know with
Yeah.
Hector because it's always interesting because Hector has to come up a weight. So this will be his first time fighting at 135. And of course, it all depends. For some fighters, moving up in weight
Yeah,
turns out to be better for them.
so many of the best have left 130. It's kind of become a pretty
Yeah.
empty division. You got, of course, this guy. Was it Shavkat Rakimov? Yeah, but
Oh yeah, Rakimov. Yeah.
there aren't so many others like him. I think now left. So
Yeah.
he's gonna rule a pretty empty division. That guy.
Yeah. Not a lot of huge names
Yeah.
there.
Oh, Oscar
Navarrete.
Valdez. Yeah, Oscar Valdez is still there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Oscar Valdez, Emmanuel Navarrete, who were slated to fight, if I'm not mistaken, and then that,
Wow.
uh, or who was Oscar Valdez supposed to fight? Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it wasn't him. He was supposed to fight
I
someone, but it's not going down. But Navarrete, I think, is there.
All right, wow. But he was like super bantamweight, wasn't he? Like before, or bantamweight even first. He just gone up really crazily
Yeah,
fast.
yeah. So yeah, Valdez. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Navarrete, but yeah, Valdez. Something happened. I think he got injured or something, and he pulled out. So Navarrete is fighting someone. It's a name that isn't, a huge name or anything of that nature, but it's just a
Right.
replacement type situation. So that would have been an excellent fight, matchup wise. I thought in terms of Valdez, Navarrete, both of them, they are very much offensive fighters in very different ways as well. With
Mm.
Navarrete's awkward style of throwing punches from all types of angles, Oscar Valdez, he's pretty much a come forward type guy, and I think that would have made for some pretty solid action. It was a good matchup, but now that is going to go on the back burner. So
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Well, that's as I said. There are just too few left now. Hector Garcia has left, and Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah.
The biggest star there, arguably, he left, of course,
So
before
yeah,
that.
yeah. I guess it was inevitable. I guess for Hector Garcia to leave at some point. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how he does with
Yeah, and Tank Davis used to be also, of course, in 130.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
another major loss for them.
So I guess Navarrete is a guy at 130 right now. So we'll see.
Yeah,
And then I know you mentioned Rakimov, but
yeah, but yeah, he's got kind of some defensive issues, I would say. But
yeah,
judging by the last fight, but he's a tough guy. He's definitely like a break you down fighter, obviously.
yeah. But yeah, to your question, Rodolfo, maybe Hector Garcia hangs in there for the duration of the fight.
Yeah, hope.
We'll see. Maybe he hangs in there. Maybe Tank can't get him out of there. But then again, I know he's going to be looking to put on a show, considering it's going to be down here in Washington D.C. And I'm sure he's going to want to make a statement. So, if anything, he probably could stop him a little later on as well. But I don't know.
Yeah,
It's hard.
everybody
It's hard to
wants.
call.
Yeah, everybody wants a knockout.
Yeah. I think Tank probably will win the fight. Garcia, he's a pretty solid boxer. And of course, we know he's fundamentally sound, rather. So he should make it interesting. And Tank has shown that he'll take some time to really adjust and time you for one of those big punches. So maybe Garcia. That's why I say maybe Garcia can hang in there for the entirety of the fight as long as he's able to avoid something huge from Tank, preferably that right uppercut, which is taking out some guys.
Hmm.
Rodolfo says, I think Oscar Valdez end up being the next top guy at 130 since Shakur is leaving, unless Conceição has something to say about it. Is there anyone else at 130 that poses a threat? Now, I felt like Oscar Valdez was the top guy at 130 prior to Shakur. So I guess it'd be like kind of going back. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
the weight
mean,
that's dominated by Shakur Stevenson certainly brings things down a notch. But then again, Shakur Stevenson has shown that he is a pretty special talent thus far from what we've seen.
hmm,
So, but
you were the one.
he was able to thoroughly outbox Valdez and make him look kind of not like he had really much skill boxing wise.
You were the one who told me that Shakur was gonna be, the next big thing, and I was all right.
Oh yeah. Hey, I
Yeah,
just saw his makeup and pedigree, and he
yeah,
yeah, he's
definitely.
legit. He's legit. He has that. He has that factor of whatever it is that you see and you just think, yeah, that guy, that kid, or that guy, whatever, he knows how to fight. You can just tell it's a different type of thing.
Hmm.
And I think some
Yeah,
of it comes
he's.
from who he works with and all that stuff because that's on the back end. He works with a lot of top level trainers because he has
Hmm.
that Olympic pedigree. So you got to
Yeah,
think that
I
that's
like
going to
him. I
help.
mean, he throws a lot of punches. He really brings a good fight, and maybe not the one punch knockout guy, but he can, he's good when he puts his punches together well and can
Yeah.
stop you like him. Yeah, if he lands enough, of course.
Yeah,
Mm.
he came forward in that Conceição fight too, where people were thinking he wasn't, but he did, and
Mm.
he was able to outbox him. So things are looking up for him. Hyphy says that Rodolfo Rivera Valdez
I
still
just,
hasn't provided a reasoning for pull out of his scheduled fight date. That's 2 times in a row. Okay, good stuff, Hyphy. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, what the deal was. I just saw that he was out. I thought he was injured or something. So I guess he hasn't provided a legitimate reason. Interesting, for sure. Interesting. Hopefully, he hasn't lost any confidence, which is never bodes well. And then
mm,
Rodolfo says, "Yeah, kind of strange. We're looking forward to that Navarrete fight." Yeah, yeah, that was gonna be a good one. I think it was just gonna be a good one because
oh yeah.
yeah, just sort of like yeah, I think offensively the way it matched up, it was gonna make for something pretty solid. So, but yeah,
Mm,
we'll see. We'll see where they go from here for sure. But well, we know where Navarrete is going. He's gonna be fighting someone on that date. Just can't think
yeah,
of the name right now. So
there's not anybody very interesting.
yeah, certainly.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a star, definitely. He's star
Yeah, I
material.
want to see him
Really.
more. I want to see him back on
Mm.
that trajectory he was on, which of course seemingly hasn't been the case.
And I just wanted to add, I just hope that Shakur can, keep his focus and, not because, he had that kind of controversy with that fight, when that happened with him and his body. I just hope he doesn't turn into Freddie Norwood, who was a very talented guy, but then he kind of got mixed up in various troubles and, you
Yeah,
know,
Shakur.
yeah,
Yeah, Shakur. Yeah, he's definitely got to keep his head on
yeah.
keep his head in the right place. He was at that shooting of Offset from Migos. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. By Migos. They're playing that
Amigos.
over there in Norway. Migos.
I don't know what's that.
It's a rap group. They're called Migos.
Migos.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
No, I don't. I
got
really don't
Quavo, you
follow.
got Quavo,
That.
Offset, and Takeoff. You got
All
Quavo.
right.
I had to put you up on some songs. They had a song "Bad and Bougie." You heard that song? My bitch is bad and bougie. You
Oh,
can
you know me. I don't really
okay,
follow that stuff. I'm just,
but yeah,
I'm pretty. My taste is pretty old fashioned. I actually don't listen to any of this new music now, even rock or pop, whatever. I don't listen to it. I don't much like it because I feel they are rehashing just what the others did before them. But I don't know.
but you
So
do get some of that. You do get
yeah.
more so a lot of that actually. But
And
yeah,
I'm not, yeah, it's not my generation either. I'm more like the 90s grunge generation, so
I got you.
yeah,
Cool, cool. But yeah, Shakur was in a place in the wrong place at the wrong time, but luckily he made it out unscathed
yeah,
in a sense. But
yeah,
certainly he's got to watch where he's hanging out.
yeah, definitely. You don't want to kind of get behind bars and then lose like 5 years of your career or something.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah. Certainly, certainly. Rodolfo said, "You don't know Migos vibes. I bet you would recognize if a song came up."
I don't know. I mean, people here like that stuff. I know. I mean, many people also where I come from in Boston, they love hip hop and rap, But I'm just not one of them. As simple as that.
Yeah, big. Yeah, yeah. Rodolfo said it's big. Yeah, Bob's an old school cat. Can't fault him
Yeah,
on that. I prefer older music. Hey, you know what? I'm down with some of the old school joints as well. Certainly, I
yeah,
throw on some old school here and there. You know.
yeah. In the '80s, also they had some really good. I mean, I'm currently listening to a lot of the '80s stuff.
hmm
Yeah,
So Hyphy says Ramirez ducked the fight, and Tio is going to duck the fight, being that he had the same promoter as Ramirez. Yeah, the stock for Teofimo Lopez has certainly gone down over the last 2 years. Some of it his own doing, uh,
yeah.
or
The
probably the
ego.
bulk of it his own doing. Yeah,
Yeah,
he got a lot of publicity and all that stuff. The funny thing is with him and Prograis, uh, I went to this fight in New Orleans when Regis Prograis fought in New Orleans against it was a I want to say Brazilian or maybe Venezuelan cat. His name's Silva. He's like he's like one of those guys he's a decent fighter, but not like the A+ fighter. He has a decent punch to him. But this was a pro grade fight in New Orleans. It was one of the first ones in New Orleans for a long time. And on that
mm,
undercard, Teofimo Lopez fought. So uh, I'm sure that they have some familiarity. Who'd have thought that this would we'd be here at this point? But now, of course, as mentioned, that stock on Teofimo has gone down somewhat.
oh yeah.
And I sent you that clip of him questioning whether he still has it. Did you ever see that?
No.
So you don't click my links, huh? All right,
Or
click on
maybe
your
I have. Just a minute. I'm trying to. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I
well,
mean,
but he said
after.
he was questioning whether he still has it, as in is
Yeah.
he still the Teofimo, the takeover Teofimo, and that's not a good sign. But certainly,
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to jump in there to take on Regis Prograde. That might be a confidence breaker. So I think you're spot on there, Hyphy. He's probably going to
I
need
mean.
another fight to get his confidence up if he can get it to exactly where he was. But it certainly hasn't
I
been a good
mean.
look for him here recently.
The only victory I really give him credit for was, of course, against Kami. It was a Loma fight. First of all, I had it a draw. Honestly, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
But even if you can say he won maybe by 1 point, all right, you can make a case maybe by 1 point he won. But that wasn't the real. I mean, that was a Loma that had come off an injury, and it's obviously he wasn't at his best that night because he didn't fight well in the first 6 rounds, and so that's how it went. And after that, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Teofimo is gonna be, he's the next big whatever Sugar Ray." I don't know,
yeah,
and he never was that good, in the first place because we saw what happened then against Cambosos. He loses to Cambosos. Come on, who got just taken to school badly by Devin Haney.
yeah. Twice
So yeah, twice. So
in his hometown or whatever,
yeah,
with everything in his favor, seemingly.
yeah. So it's not that he doesn't have it anymore. It's like he never. You cannot lose what you never had. That's something. Here's a little
That's a good
poetry.
point. Good
Yeah,
point right there. Shout out to Alan who says his dad is part of the problem. Same with Josh Warrington, who I also dislike. Hey,
yeah,
failure for sure. Failure for sure. Yeah, I think that certainly, and I've been a part of some other discussions where they're bringing up Tiafimo's dad and whether he needs someone else who can give him real instructions instead of the rah rah motivational stuff, which works to a certain degree. But when it comes down to the X's and O's, you
yeah.
need a trainer that can tell you what you need to do. And sometimes it seems like his dad doesn't have that particular side to him. Now, that's
Mm,
always a touchy subject, of course. We've seen father son combinations over the years
yeah.
and all of that stuff. It works out better
Angel.
for some than it does for others. I feel like Kenny Porter and Sean Porter, I feel like their relationship and how they operate, I thought that's very good in terms of
Good. Yeah.
he seems to offer instructions in a way that hey he understands that father to son
Mm,
bond understands in legitimate instructions. Now in the case of and Kenny Porter also he brought in some additional help as well. He got Barry Hunter. They were working with Barry Hunter on their last I want to say couple of fights or whatever. So even doing something like that is a good thing. So will
mm.
Teofimo do something like that, even if his father is still his trainer technically? I guess you can say. Will they bring in another voice that can really help him kind of get over this,
Maybe. Yeah.
get over this
Yeah.
hump or whatever this thing is that he's on? Because you can tell that it is something. Because if in
Yeah, he's got the all right. He's got the speed, the power, all that. He can. He's very good when everything goes his way. Offensively, that. But we now saw against Martin in his last fight when everything didn't go all
yeah,
his way. He struggled, of course,
yeah.
against the sneak guy. So
Hey, I was asking, could it be that Martine is just that good, or is it Teofimo is just
he
not there?
just fought the right fight. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
Alan mentions Chris Eubank lets Roy Jones coach his son. Yep, you're right. He kind of took a step back and let Roy jump in there and handle that. I think that's a good thing. See that's a lot. That's a lot, or that's a big step when you say to yourself, okay, yeah, I know that I've been teaching my son since he was a kid or whatever, but now I'm gonna let someone else step in. I think that's a big move right
yeah,
there, and maybe that's something
yeah.
TFO needs.
Fathers can be very stubborn when it comes to just ceding control to somebody else. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna train my son. He's my son and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
Rodolfo says, yeah, maybe a different trainer. There's potential with Tia in Tio, but I don't think he's going nowhere further if he continues with his dad. Yeah, that
Mm,
seems to be the sentiments with a lot of people. And like I said, I think his dad can be there, but you need something else. Hyphy says, I'm doubtful any legitimate trainer has the patience for Tio's personality. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
that's a valid point. Yeah,
certainly,
definitely.
certainly,
Yeah,
Hyphy. You'd have to get the right voice in there, the right person who's gonna get him on the track, get him on track legitimately, and he has
yeah.
to
I
listen.
mean,
Of course, he has to listen. Um,
yeah, you gotta slap him and say, "Hey, you're not, you're not Sugar Ray Leonard. You're not as good as you think you are. So you have to improve this and that." So, he
yeah,
must be just
yeah.
he must accept that. He
You
needs.
make great points though. Yeah, he seems to be kind of searching for himself right now, and
Yeah,
that's yeah, it's just an interesting place to be in, considering where he was 2 years ago, where he felt on top of the world, but now it's going to be a climb back up, and it's not going to get any easier for him at 140. Arnold Barboza wanted to fight him. They didn't seem he would want
yeah.
that fight, which would be super tough, especially at this point. I like Arnold Barboza. I just think he's
Hmm.
an all around, just a very good fighter, and he's tough, and he's shown that. And he would give Teofimo some problems because he's someone who's not just gonna go down or go anywhere easily. So that's something Teofimo is gonna have to deal with.
Yeah,
Maybe he will be questioning his power. I think that Kome knockout probably gave him a little bit of confidence and a booster, but it's not gonna be like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was just something that happened. I mean, it could have well not happened that way. It's
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, it'll be interesting for Teofimo, but hopefully he gets his head in the right place. Um,
yeah,
yeah, but moving on to March 5th, we had, and where we're at, we're at like 131. Yeah, I'm gonna skip some of these, of course, because we could beat up. But we had Roman
yeah.
Gonzalez take
No
on,
way we have time for everyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
Roman Gonzalez take on Julio Cesar Martinez. This was back in March. I thought it was a good one. The Superfly WBA titles on the line. I thought it was a good one in the sense that Roman Gonzalez, aka Chocolatito, he dominated Julio Cesar Martinez, who had jumped up 2 weight classes, and he came in
mm,
overweight. Uh, and he was basically outclassed from the jump. So it wasn't
mm,
much of a contest. Chocolatito showed that, hey, I'm still the man. Then March
mm.
12th, Nottingham, England, we had Leigh Wood versus Michael
Oh,
Conlon, WBA
what a
regular title.
fight!
That's a fight of the year type fight right
Yeah, what a fight! I watched
there. Heck of a
that
fight.
live.
And you know what? I
Yeah,
got a newfound respect for Leigh Wood, because I thought he was
yeah,
done in that fight.
yeah. He was almost knocked out at the end of the first round, and also in the second one he was in trouble, and but he's got really real toughness and. I guess also being a little bigger physically than Coleman helped. But anyway, Coleman was, kept landing big shots, but after a while, as the fight went on, he didn't put enough pressure, I guess, on Wood,
Yeah,
and that enabled Wood to come back, and in the end, he scored a knockout in the last round very emphatically, So
yeah, yeah,
Conlan was hurt kind of very pretty badly, but luckily he, pulled through and yeah.
certainly, legitimate fight of the year candidate right there.
Mm.
And I suppose they may end up rematching at some point, which I think would be pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. I thought that Conlan was, kind of better in that fight, but
Yeah,
simply he, got caught in the end and yeah.
yeah, I thought he was winning for sure.
Yeah, he
But
was.
man,
Mm.
toughness there by Leigh Wood. He had to be fighting off
Yeah.
instincts.
Yeah. That
All
as
right.
well.
We're moving ahead. We had Sonny Edwards to defeat Muhammad Wasim. I remember seeing that in Dubai. Yeah,
Good
Wasim.
fighter, yeah. Sunny, yeah.
Yeah, Sonny. His name's going to be thrown out there in the mix with some of the other flyweights down there. Maybe Bam
Mm.
Rodriguez versus Sonny Edwards is
Wow, yeah.
one we could
He's
get.
still undefeated. I know that he's in. I think this was his third the defense. I think IBF of IBF title. Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
I'm
Sonny
a
Edwards had
boxer.
yeah Sonny Edwards had tweeted Bam Rodriguez saying he wants to fight, and Bam seems down for it. I know they said Bam. I heard on the broadcast or Chocolatito and Estrada that Bam went down. His team had been saying that he could go up or down, from
Mm,
where he was, and so I guess he's going to be at 112 now. So maybe we
nice.
can make this fight happen.
Yeah, would be nice.
And then let me see. Alan says I still haven't seen it. It was on the zone. My brother said it was a fight of the year. Yes, it was. It was definitely one worth checking out there, Alan. Definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
Laywood and Richard Connellan, they brought it.
was.
They brought it. I can say that I wasn't expecting that going into the fight. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
then I just got into it. I was just like, ooh, this is pretty freaking crazy
And
right
you know what's even more amazing in his previous fight against that guy from China, San Ku, whatever his
here.
name
Yeah,
is. He also won by last round stoppage. Lee Wood. He won 12th round
yeah,
also.
yeah.
That's
Freaking
pretty,
Laywood.
yeah, unusual.
Yes. Rodolfo Rivera, what's your guys' wish list for fights in 2023? Oh, there's a ton of them. Ton of them. 2023 great fights.
Yeah.
Of course, the glaring one is Crawford or Spence. But I
Mm.
guess that's been beaten like a dead horse. But
I think, yeah, another at welterweight for me would be Jaron Ennis versus Eimantas Stanionis.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I saw something about what did I see? I saw Stanionis' name come up with someone. I can't remember who it is now. But yeah, that would be an excellent one right there. Oh yeah, I saw Oscar De La Hoya tweeted something
Oh yeah,
saying that Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz were, I guess, looking to fight, or that was close, or something of that nature. He tweeted
Virgil
something of that nature.
Ortiz. Wait a minute. Who is? Oh yeah, yeah,
Virgil,
Virgil Ortiz. Oh yeah,
Virgil
just
Ortiz. Yeah,
trying to really kind of remember. Yeah,
he's
Virgil.
a Mexican American fighter, big puncher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That's the one. The kid
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the, with the with the baby face killer.
He's won all of his fights via stoppage. So
Wow, that would be great. Also, yeah, of course, Virgil Ortiz and General Ennis also. Wow, what a
yeah,
fight!
yeah. Any combination of Stanionis, Ortiz, and Ennis, I think, would be excellent fights, and
Yeah,
hopefully we can get those. So I think those are great choices. Of course, Usyk versus Fury, which
Fury. Yeah,
seemingly is going to happen.
and
Uh,
Wilder versus Joshua also.
yeah, Wilder versus Joshua. I think there's still a market for that, but also Wilder versus Joe Joyce. I would
Oh
like to see
yeah,
that one.
huge
I would like to
fight.
see the Juggernaut, see how he handles
Yeah,
because thus far no
Juggernaut.
one has been able to hurt Joe Joyce, or at least
That's
visibly,
yeah,
it doesn't seem like anyone has been able to hurt him.
exactly. That's the big thing we want to see. If Wilder can hurt him, if he can crack that enormous chin of his,
Yeah, yeah,
his
that would be an interesting fight. That would be an interesting fight.
yeah,
Wilder's faster, for sure, but
yeah,
man, Joyce, despite such, he's more athletic than what some may think. But
yeah. He
man, that
gets
chin
the
is just
job
different.
done.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
keeps coming forward, and I thought
Uh,
Joseph Parker cracked him with some what looked to be big shots, and Parker just kind of ate those like they were nothing. I mean,
mm,
not Parker, but Joyce ate those like they were nothing, and just kept coming forward. So I was just
yeah,
like, man, who can stop this dude?
he's a
Besides
monster. He's
Father
a
Time,
monster.
seems like Father Time is the only one that could crack that chin.
I believe somebody's told me that he's like his bone density is like 5 times of a normal human or something. Come on, is that possible?
Hey,
Crazy.
yeah, that's certainly something right there.
Yeah, you see it in his face, like he's like a like this comic book character, really like a juggernaut.
Yeah,
Like,
he is the Juggernaut. That's a fitting
yeah,
nickname right there. The
yeah.
momentum just keeps him coming forward. Uh, Shout out to Joshua Woods. It says thanks for the comments on Greg Marciano, Johnson, Jeffries, Wills, etc. Hey, appreciate you, Joshua Woods. Always like commenting on the old school fighters. At the heart of things, of course, I know that I'm a big fan of the history of the sport, especially going back into the days of its early beginnings and things of that nature, and that's kind of like one of the primary focuses as far as the videos. But man, that is I appreciate you, Joshua Woods, in there sharing your knowledge and all that good stuff. It's always good to have those discussions. Some of these great fighters of the past who don't quite get their due recognition all the time, but man, they went through some tough conditions, tough times, some tough competition. The sport had a lot more fighters at that particular time, so man, just so many stories. Some of it is things of legend. Thinking about the likes of Harry Greb, the Pittsburgh Pit-Bull, who I think has the best resume in boxing history. If you don't know Greb, go check it out. He fought pretty much everyone, the who's who of the sport, and it's actually pretty freaking amazing. He did all of this by the age of 32, so it's insane. Some
Yeah.
crazy stories from back then. But yeah,
Mm.
more of that for sure. Joshua Woods to come. Yeah, we got have some things in the works. Some pretty solid videos. Looking forward to in 2023. Gonna be bigger. But yeah. Then Alan says Sonny Edwards is the most skillful fighter in the UK. I really like him. Very underrated. Indeed. He's holding it down for the smaller fighters out there. Yeah, Sonny, he's been doing his thing, and he has
Yeah,
to
he's
back it up, so he's got the gift of the gab, so he'll make for interesting press conferences as well. Hopefully, more of these small fighters get their shine.
yeah, he's very talented. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Rodolfo says, I remember seeing someone on Twitter saying Santa doesn't exist because Spence Crawford didn't happen. Yeah, that was a gift that would have been one that would have kept on giving right there.
Yeah.
Then Alan says Joyce is like Homer Simpson. Nothing hurts him. His skull is made from something else. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And then Joshua Wood said, I want that Fury Usyk fight most. Yeah, certainly. Looks like we're going to get that. At least I saw some stuff saying that they were in agreement, at least in principle, I guess you can say. So we're going to finally get that Fury Usyk fight, and we'll have an undisputed world heavyweight champion when it's all said and done, which will be the first since Lennox Lewis, I believe, right? In the
Yeah.
first of the four belt era, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. Because those Klitschko's, damn them, they wouldn't fight each other.
Yeah, and that kind of held back us getting undisputed in that sense, but understandably so. But so yeah, this will be an opportunity to have an undisputed world heavyweight champion. And what would be
Mm.
even more impressive is if we get that, then that person continues to defend the belts as undisputed, and they don't get spread about again. But that tends to happen with a lot of the undisputed champions these days. But 2022 was a pretty good year for undisputed. We had Jamel Charlo. We had someone else who Katie
Hey,
Taylor. Katie Taylor became undisputed.
yeah,
Carissa Shields became undisputed again,
Marissa Shields and
160. I feel like there's
Alicia
one more.
Alicia Baumgartner. I
Well, there's
really.
one more still outstanding. Close to there's still one outstanding belt, but she's unified
All right,
all except
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
Alicia.
but yeah, certainly Fury Usyk. We're gonna finally get that, and I think it's an interesting matchup. I think it's an interesting matchup, and I think it'll probably shed some light.
Yeah,
Usyk has it.
fun. He's got an enormous skull, Joe Joyce. Yeah, 5 times
Yeah,
harder
he does.
than.
Paul Bright. Hey, salute! Shout out to Paul Bright. Yeah, thank you for dropping by, buddy. Yeah, I've had some
Hmm.
some comment chats with Paul Bright. So appreciate you dropping in for sure. He said just kind of past time for Fury Usyk. Certainly, and hopefully we don't get Fury talking about retirement here in 2023. I think that would be good because
If he loses, then he will probably.
but yeah, if he wins the belt, or if he wins, I hope he doesn't be like, okay, I've accomplished everything and now I'm retired. It's like at least defend it, defend all of
Hmm.
the titles for whomever, whether that's him or Usyk. Uh, but yeah, we'll see, of course. Um, then we have Alan says Freddie Mills from the UK is an interesting one because of his gangster links. Oh yeah, Freddie Mills.
Yeah,
I like Freddie Mills. It's pretty cool. We can have video of
he
him out
was
there. But I think
very tough. Yeah,
Yeah, very tough, very tough. He fought was it Lloyd Marshall? Not Lloyd Marshall. Who was the heavyweight
Gus
Black Brothers Road member?
Gus Lesnich maybe.
Yeah, I think yeah. So yeah, Gus Leslie, but I think he
And
fought Lloyd Marshall, who was with Black.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he was knocked out by Lloyd Marshall and Bruce Woodcock, but that was at heavyweight.
Oh yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, Freddie Mills. I like Freddie Mills. Solid guy right there. And hey,
Yeah,
a potential future Hall of Famer. You know, he's on the listing apparently. He could potentially get in there. Tough guy. Tough
wow,
guy.
really? Huh.
You
Yeah,
know, the
he
funny
did
thing
have
is, Freddie Mills. I found out about him some years ago through this UK show called Father Brown. My
all right.
girlfriend would watch Father Brown, and then I
Father
just so
Brown.
happened to, I wasn't really paying attention. Then I started tuning into it, and we were watching it together. And they had a show that was based on where they were mentioning Freddie Mills, but it was a boxing type episode, and they talked about the Freddie Mills death and everything.
Yeah, he
Which
killed himself.
yeah, I did a
Was
video. It's on the page where where it's called like five mysterious boxing deaths. Briefly touch on Freddie Mills and the whole craziness surrounding that situation as far as what happened with him on that night. He turned
yeah,
up dead in that
I
bar,
guess
in the alley
because
behind that bar or whatever in the car.
he got himself in debt to gangsters, I guess. So his
It was
club, he had a club, and that didn't go so well. I think at
yeah,
first it went well, but then it started to lose money and stuff.
it was set up well. It was seemingly a suicide, but there were some questionable things in terms of
Yeah, there were various theories, like
yeah. I
some
don't know
very
for certain.
wild ones. Yes,
Yeah, I don't know for certain, but certainly it was some questionable stuff in terms of that time in between when the police were called and all of that stuff, and when he was found, and then the gun.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just some weird circumstances, but man, shout out Freddie Mills, R.I.P. But great fighter right there, great heavyweight fighter representing from the UK for sure.
yeah,
Joshua Woods, Vlad beat all the champs that held or had the titles outside of his brother, of course. So I consider Vlad the champ for that period. Yes, without a doubt, without a doubt, he was the top dog at that time. Joshua Woods.
yeah.
Certainly
Of course.
can't take that away from him. In theory,
Mm,
you could say he was undisputed. He would have been, of course. I don't think anyone would have stopped him at that particular time.
yeah,
With training with Emmanuel Stewart, he just was on his game, and I think he would
yeah. I think
certainly dominated, had an undisputed reign. Uh,
Manny really kind of brought him on his feet after those losses.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know
certainly.
to Corey Sanders and Leon Brewster, and he was a really different guy after that. I
Yeah.
almost said this like an Aussie on his fate,
Or
fate.
Corey Sanders and Ross Purity.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was an early loss, the first loss. That's right,
Yeah,
because he had gassed.
yeah. He had a Ross Purity. That's
Purity,
funny.
the
But
boss.
Rodolfo says yes. 2022 was a good year. We gained a new champions at 108, 118 after so many years. I think decade. Yeah. That is good stuff for sure. It was a low key, pretty solid year. Pretty solid year, low key. Allen, that would be popular in my hometown. People always talk about him. Now our hero is Chris Billum Smith. If you could make a video about him, that would get thousands of views. Cool, awesome. Might have to see what's up. Yeah, I've done a few modern fighter videos. Typically done old school fighters more so, but I've done a few modern fighters. I have a couple of modern fighter videos that I have to work on some guys. I might have to add CBS to the list. I think he has a good nickname. But yeah, Chris Billon Smith, he's looked pretty solid. So hopefully, he continues
The
to develop,
Freddy.
do some
Yeah.
good things there at cruiserweight.
Hmm.
He seems to have the right team, and he's working with Lawrence Okoli, another top cruiserweight. So I believe he's getting in the proper work to get him to that level, that world stage. So that should be interesting.
I've seen now also Alan Babbage. He spars with Okoli now, and
Oh
he
yeah,
was really, really
Savage
praised.
Savage.
Yeah, he really praised Okoli as a really good sparring partner, and tough
Okay,
guy.
that's good stuff. So I wonder if CBS is getting some of that, getting in the mix of some of that as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Potentially.
Babbage could well fight as a cruiserweight. I think so because he's not a
Oh
big
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. He could.
fighter.
That's probably where he's probably better suited,
Yeah,
long term at least.
yeah,
So,
of course, and he's not good enough to succeed as a heavyweight. And this Bridgerweight nonsense.
oh yeah,
There's no future in it. I mean, you see Rivas, even he has now
oh yeah,
jumped, come back to heavyweight.
yeah.
Obviously,
I was gonna mention. Yeah, he's fighting someone. Who is he fighting?
he was supposed to fight a Jagba, but I think now that's off. Something I
Oh, okay,
heard.
that's off now. Wow. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah,
was it because I saw it on a poster. I knew he was fighting someone. That would have been a good fight right there. And
yeah,
I don't know that it was necessarily. I think a Jogba, of course, he still has a seemingly bright future if he can get everything together. But despite the
mm,
power, he hasn't shown yet that he can't be outboxed. Frank
yeah.
Sanchez, I thought, exposed at least that piece of it. That when it
Frank
comes to
Sanchez,
Jogba,
yeah,
you keep him on the move or whatever, and don't allow them to set up those big punches, then you can get him out of there,
yeah.
or at
Frank
least
Sanchez, he took him apart. That was really a joy to watch and pleasure the way he took him
yeah,
apart.
cool. Salute, Alan said I'll check that out. Good stuff. Then Joshua Wood, there's a few fights in 40s from Freddie Mills on film. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly, certainly. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That that British Path channel. I know they have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of good fights on there. As a matter of fact, British Path is like PATHE. Um,
He was really amazingly tough and strong because he was small even for light heavyweight, but he also fought at heavyweight sometimes. That was
yeah,
amazing. I mean, he
yeah,
was short for light heavyweight, 5'10".
yeah,
So,
yeah.
mm,
Alan says the Crays were meant to have killed him. Interesting. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that a bit more because, but I know there was another channel. I had to find out what it is. But there's another channel out there on YouTube who someone does some stuff. He's done some things surrounding Freddie Mills, and I know he was at the spot or the location of where this murder suicide
oh,
happened,
yeah.
which is now, of
East
course,
London, I believe, or something like that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He went to the spot, or at least where it was at that particular time. There's like now like a shopping center or something over it. But
right.
it was pretty interesting. He was diving into it, mentioning some
Hmm.
stuff. So I'll see if I can find that, and then I'll have to share another stream or something,
Yeah,
or maybe a post. But yeah, Joshua Wood says battling Siki is still unsolved. How great
but
fighting dead in the streets. That is an interesting one. That is an interesting one. There, first African champion.
I believe
Battling.
he got into a fight, didn't he, have over a girl or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, I remember reading up some stuff about that. He ended up, was it shot dead or something?
Yeah, I mean, he had left that bar, and as he was leaving, this guy he followed him with a gun and shot him. That's what I read anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know it was unsolved. So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's
That is
crazy.
pretty crazy. Thinking about it,
Yeah,
maybe worth diving into, if not me, but someone else, another channel
yeah,
who
he
keeps
had
those
a really
mysteries. Those
quite a
mysteries.
career. Yeah,
He could have been on that list. I probably should make another one. There have been some mysterious boxing deaths for sure. And
yeah.
yeah, Siki is certainly one of those in terms of
Trevor
deaths and
Berbick.
circumstances
Berbick,
surrounding it.
that was a very violent death.
Was that?
Trevor
Oh
Berbick.
yeah, I was on another stream or something. They were talking about that.
I
This was
think his
his.
nephew was one of the.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I knew it was a family member of some type.
Yeah, they had like quarreled about some land or something. I don't know. There was
Yeah, which is
something.
pretty crazy
Yeah,
that it would
crazy.
lead to that.
Yeah,
But
that's really vile stuff.
yeah, indeed, indeed. Um, Alan says Babic is great entertainment. Dubois is in the team too. Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, Daniel Dubois. So I want to see Daniel Dubois versus
Double D.
Joe Joyce again to see
Yeah,
has Dubois made a change. I don't feel that he has, but
Yeah, that fight when with Lorena, that was a weird one because I think he was probably if it had been somewhere else, more neutral, that would probably have been stopped in the first round. He went down three times and like in the first round, and the other two, I guess he just took the knee, because he was still hurting from the first
Yeah,
knockdown. So
yeah.
that was
He thought he was
weird.
gonna knock out Joyce. He didn't know the type of chin that he was running into.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of looked like he was gonna do it, but then it's nothing happened.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Paul Bright says, happy holidays, brother. I appreciate you. Hey, same to you, Paul. Certainly happy holidays. Certainly. Alan says Nathan Gorman versus Babbitt would be a war. That
Hmm.
is a very interesting one. I wouldn't mind seeing that. We've
Even
been talking
though,
about Babbitt if he's going to continue to operate at heavyweight. What could be a good fight for him, and that could be an interesting one right there.
maybe Gorman is a little too heavy for him, but yeah,
Yeah, he would certainly have the weight advantage.
yeah,
That's going to continue to be an issue for Babbage, especially as he steps it up. If he's going to be hanging
yeah,
around at that 204 pounds range, 204, 205 pounds.
yeah. He's like a heavyweight to fold, like
Yeah,
the guys in the 30s and 40s and 50s were like 210, 215,
yeah.
never more than that.
Which of course you can still beat some guys, but of course, as that competition goes up, yeah, that weight can become a factor for sure.
Yeah, and you saw what Gorman did against Worley because he's so
Oh
heavy,
yeah,
his punches cut him out badly, even though he wasn't hurt, he was
yeah, that
just,
might have been a different case with Babbitt if he'd have took those
yeah,
shots. You make a good point
yeah, exactly.
because Worley's a big dude, so
Yeah, he's a
Babbitt
true
isn't that
heavyweight.
big weight
Yeah,
wise.
he's a legit heavyweight, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rodolfo Rivera says we need a part two of Mysterious Boxing Deaths '86. Kind of bad timing to tell you this. Tell you since it's Christmas. Indeed, Rodolfo. Why so morbid? It's Christmas. Come on, cut it out.
Yeah, no more about the murders.
Maybe a part two
Um,
coming though. Intrigued
uh,
my thoughts. Intrigued. Mm.
Next up, Sonny Liston.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's probably the most mysterious of them all, right there.
Oh yeah.
That was number one on the list.
Mm. I also did a thread about this, like maybe 2 years ago, something on this forum. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
that's why I know of Trevor Berbick and all those guys.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Bill
Okay.
Brennan, another old-time heavyweight that was
Oh yeah.
killed actually by gangsters, obviously.
Oh
So
wow, Bill Brittany. I know who you're talking about. I didn't know that was the case.
yeah, he fought Jack Dempsey, I believe, and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
few
yeah. I
others.
think that was a heavyweight title defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm. Yeah,
So yeah, Bill Brittany. Didn't know that. I have to look into him. I know of Bill Brittany, but not really at that level or on any of his personal
tough
stuff.
guy. Yeah, I think he lost in the 12th round against Dempsey, like knockout in the 12th round. Because
Pretty tough.
whoever could go that long against Jack, that he must have been a tough cookie.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He was always in the mix there. He's one of the top contenders of the day, but yeah,
Yeah,
never quite got over the hump in that sense. But certainly one of the top contenders for sure. Those guys, a lot of those guys were tough back then for sure. Conditions were very much different. It's almost like two
yeah,
different sports in some sense.
Camacho.
Oh yeah, certainly Rip Hector Camacho. I feel like they recently found the people who committed the murder of
Yeah,
Camacho. I think that was recently. I don't know if it was this year or last year, but it feels like this year. I'm not
yeah, I read
sure.
something about it. Yeah, but that's a small consolation to his family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly, certainly. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, pretty crazy. Nick Hammer, salute Nick Hammer. Appreciate you dropping in, buddy. He says, "Big up, Josh and all. I'm with family, but stop to show support." Hey, thank you. Merry Christmas to you, Nick.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays, all that good stuff. We appreciate you dropping in. Everyone, as a matter of fact, who dropped in here on this Christmas Sunday, or
Mm.
today's Sunday, right?
Yeah, it's Sunday, just
Yeah,
perfect.
Christmas Sunday.
Could have been more perfect, right, for Christmas Day.
Yeah, yeah, you're right because we do these podcasts on Sundays. Yeah, it's had me,
Yeah,
all thrown off. But yeah, this Christmas Sunday, we appreciate you. You
Sunday
still there?
fun day.
Yeah.
Sunday, the boxing fun day.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah. Have a good one, Nick. No, peace. All right, cool. Yeah. We were talking about the great fights or the good fights of 2022 up into 2023.
Hmm.
We're already bordering on 2 hours right here, and we were only in March, so we hadn't even got to April. So
Don't think we're gonna get to all of
we're
them,
just
but
gonna speed up to
yeah,
December real quick. Since we get to talk about Crawford versus Avanesian, and then
mm.
yeah, we didn't get to talk about that, right?
No, no, no,
Yeah, but
no.
Crawford versus Avanesian, we'll probably have to dive back into these other ones at another time. But Crawford versus Avanesian, I thought he made a statement in knocking out Avanesian, who's a tough guy, but man, that combination he got caught with sent him down and out.
Yeah,
Out.
well, it was it was just really a true, fight. I mean, it wasn't like he just, kind of, I don't know how to put it. Avanesian looked poor. He didn't, but he just, got knocked out with a perfect punch. He was landing also, some punches Avanesian in the fight, right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
he
yeah,
got knocked out. Really, I mean, really, wow.
yeah.
With
Really, yeah,
DFO.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty, pretty crazy. He was out. He was down and out. Um,
Mm.
Joshua Wood says Bill was a top contender, a hard fighter, but not the championship level. Him and Billy Mitchell were
Yeah.
rivals and had a fight to pay bills for and Christmas. Cool. Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. Billy Misk, yeah, I like. Well, I know
Miss.
of Billy Misk. Billy Misk, yeah, he's a tough fighter
Yeah.
right there. Uh,
Yeah.
I think he
I
died of
heard
this
of him. Yeah.
disease. Yeah, he
Mm.
died of this disease. I forget what it's called, but it was something. It's one of those diseases that kind of, I don't know if it's genetic or what, but something took out Billy Misk. I can't think of what it is off the top, but yeah, he was a top level fighter for sure. If
Maybe a
I'm not mistaken.
coronary disease.
That could have been something. If I'm
Something.
not mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I think he's out of Minnesota. Minnesota has had
Yeah.
some pretty solid fighters over the years. Well, especially in history, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, Minnesota.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, some very solid fighters out of there.
Indeed.
That's where the Gibbons, the Gibbons brothers are from there. Yeah,
Mm.
Billy Misk. There's some others. Um, so yeah,
There is, and just also, oh yeah, that's right. Al Hostak, he's the former middleweight champion.
how's that?
Oh,
Oh, you got me there. I don't
the
know.
Savage Slav, he was cool. He was
Oh,
like
that's
Czech,
cool.
something like that, Czech American.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. See, hey, that's why I appreciate you putting this on game here.
yeah,
I fall short when it comes to the 70s, 80s, and 90s sometimes with
yeah,
some of these
right.
champions that were out there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he
so
was
Joshua
like,
said
oh
Bright's
yeah, right.
disease. Yeah. You're right, Joshua. Bright's disease. Yeah, which is pretty unfortunate. But this was like in the midst of his career, So
I
yeah,
I just wrote his name so you know how it's written.
Al Hostock.
Yeah, Hostak.
Oh, he was from 1938, 1940. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
know him.
believe I believe he lost the title to Tony Zale, maybe. Or no, not Tony Zale. I don't remember. It was some other big puncher. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Right now, maybe Freddie Steele
Oh,
or no,
okay. Yeah, I'm
he
looking
beat
at his
Freddie
team.
Steele actually. Sorry, yeah,
Oh yeah, he
yeah,
lost to Tony Zale.
yeah. It was Tony Zale. Yeah, that's
Fight.
right.
It looks like
Yeah,
fight. Got
Man of Steel.
okay, good show. Good to go. I had to check him out. Yeah, I see where he beat Freddie Steele. Freddie Steele had a crazy amount of fights.
Oh yeah, I believe he was like injured in before that fight, so he was just an easy prey for Hostak. Mm.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty.
But
That's
I
pretty
really
cool.
like that nickname he had because I never heard of it such before. Savage Slav.
Savage Slav. Oh yeah, I see now. Savage Slav. Okay, I'm going to have to look at how they said. Cause imagine that's probably on film, huh? Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
because I know there's a lot of Zale stuff on film.
Oh yeah, Tony Zale. He was one heck of a fighter.
Oh, Joshua Wood says, I seen the complete fight film of Dempsey Gibbons, all 15 rounds. Let's say if you
Gibbons.
seen round one, you seen them all, and Gibbons was holding Dempsey and working the body ahead. Okay, that's funny.
Tommy.
Yeah, I haven't seen the full one. Yeah, Tommy Gibbons, he was a great fighter. Just historically, he's a pretty solid fighter. I think
Yeah.
he lost like 4 times or something like that. But you know,
Was
he
he
moved
not
up.
light heavyweight first, I believe? Yeah.
Yeah, he moved up to heavyweight. Dempsey, I think I was chatting with someone about who was that? Oh yeah, I was talking about this with Random Acoustic Thoughts. Shout out Random Acoustic Thoughts, who he's not on here right now, but yeah, we are talking about that. That was the fight with him and Dempsey fought when Dempsey and Gibbons, that is, when they fought. It was in some town. I forget exactly where. I don't know if it was Nevada or whatever, but it ended up bankrupting the town because of Dempsey's purse, and the town couldn't afford it, and it ended up bankrupting the town. And the turnout at the actual fight, it was some small town. It wasn't what they thought it would be, and
Right.
it ended up bankrupting the town. And I believe Gibbons didn't get paid in the fight because there was no more money to be given out, which is crazy.
Yeah, there are such really crazy fight stories. When I told you about that guy from Australia, Jimmy Carruthers. He was like fighting in
Oh, correct.
Thailand. One fight but since there was like a monsoon, the whole ring was flooded. So he and his opponent they
Oh,
fought barefoot. Actually,
wow. That's pretty
the whole
crazy.
yeah. So
That's pretty
because they
crazy.
would just slipped all over the place if they had shoes on them, right? So
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, there's been some crazy boxing stories over the years. Just thinking about some of those. There's
mm,
see, I like Jack Dempsey, but not the. But I like both Jack Dempsey, but in relation to the original Jack Dempsey, non-Parel, he was
yeah,
another
the
one who was a tough
Irish
fighter.
Jack.
I wish we had film of him. So I'm gonna do this boxing video. As a matter of fact, I've already started working on it. Probably get it out there
Yeah, because
on
I
Subvert.
think the famous Jack Dempsey, that wasn't his real name. He just took it from
No,
the
no, no.
North
Actually, it
Korea.
was his real name.
Or yeah, it was, but it wasn't Jack. It was
Yeah, it wasn't Jack.
William.
It was William, but
William,
they called him Jack. Apparently, he was called Jack when he was younger, and
right?
that's where it
William
came about.
Harrison, isn't it? William
Yeah, it's
Harrison
William.
Dempsey.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
William Harrison Dempsey.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, he now the original Jack Dempsey. I don't think that was his name. I can't remember off the top. I've done,
Non Parel, you mean?
but yeah, the
Yeah.
non-Parel.
No, he came from Ireland. He was
Yeah,
born there.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. He's Irish, but yeah, there was a fight that he had with George LaBlanche, who was
Oh
a
yeah.
fighter from back there, and they fought for. It ended up being a long fight, and they were fighting practically bare knuckle. I think they said they
All
had
right.
skin tight gloves or something of that nature, and
His
it was
name was John Edward Kelly. I just found it. His
okay. Yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah. John Ever Kelly. So yeah, it wasn't Jack Dempsey, but that's what he ended up being. But yeah,
Yeah.
but in this fight with LaBlanche, they started at one location, and then they had to pick up and go and finish the fight at another location. It's a pretty crazy story. It's in the video I did on
Mm.
non-Pharrell Jack Dempsey, but it's one of those little crazy stories. It was a long fight, and that was one of his big rivals, old George LaBlanche. I believe he was Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, and not a huge name, of course, but from back in that time, he was a tough fighter. You know, those guys, even though
Yeah.
they were fighting under the Marquis of Queensberry rules, a lot of them had a lot of fights where they were just doing it kind of London prize fighting style, London prize ring rules or
Mm.
whatever, or just
Yeah.
straight up bare knuckles, or they have gloves that didn't have any padding on, which is insane, right?
Mm.
Joshua Wood says Zales could have been a super great, but World War II took 3 years away from him. Oh yeah, threw him in jail. I need to watch this movie. There's a movie on Tony Zell, his life
Right?
and times, right? Or no, I'm thinking of Rocky Graziano actually.
Yeah, Rocky Graziano with Paul Newman. Yeah, somebody up there likes me.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. So I need to watch that. Yeah, I need to watch
good
that.
movie. Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times. That was a long ago,
Okay,
long
cool,
time
cool. Yeah,
ago.
I need to watch it. I know it's black and white. I've been saying it. I'm gonna watch it. Someone else had told me it was
Mm,
a good movie as well.
very good, very good. Yeah,
I need to look up that rivalry more. Recently, well,
it's like
probably
when
a
he,
week back, I was watching their fight. So at least what was on YouTube,
you
man,
know, when he lost to Zale the first time, his wife asked him what happened, and he said, "Honey, I forgot to duck."
classic line right there. Certainly,
Yeah,
classic line without a doubt.
yeah,
Joshua Wood says most small towns cannot host a big sport events. Yeah, 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 that
yeah,
is true. Yeah, and some had to find out the hard way, but that one certainly had to been a harsh reality back then with the whole Dipsy Gibbons fight, which is unfortunate.
yeah.
Joshua says the thing that Jack Dipsy middleweight is he forgot in the 1870, 1880s, where most film was not around much. He took into a Corvette into the film was coming in 1890. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the nonpareil Jack Dempsey, his career was cut short. I was going to mention, though, yeah, I'm doing a video on tuberculosis in boxing. It's just one where there were some boxers whose careers been cut short or was cut short by tuberculosis. That was a big thing back in the day, but I know a lot of people died of tuberculosis. But uh, Jack Dempsey, the nonpareil, yeah, he was like 32 and he died of tuberculosis. So he had started to fade in the tail end of his career. Because of that, he had battled with it for a few years, and then of course he died. But I think had that not happened, he would have been potentially at least would have been on film because he was one of the more popular boxers of the time, especially early on. Like him, sort of his height coming around the same time as John L. Sullivan's height, or his height as far as popularity and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And I think Dempsey, he was just as popular, probably not quite, but certainly close in popularity to John L. Sullivan, who of course was a superstar for his time or whatever. And so I think that yeah, Dempsey would have kept going had it not been for tuberculosis, and I think that we probably would have gotten to see him on film, which would have been
mm.
pretty amazing.
You know what? What surprised me? I heard that there's just one kind of short footage of Harry Greb fighting. That's all.
Well, it's only he's like mock sparring.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
a newsreel. He's preparing for is a newsreel before the his fight with Mickey Walker, which would have been an excellent fight to have seen because these are two action guys.
yeah, Mickey Walker.
And so they showed them it's a newsreel. I had posted it. Of course, a lot of people have posted it, but basically, they showed the contract signing. I think that's Tex Rickard, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not 100% positive if it's Tex Rickard, but I believe it could be. But it's some promoter, older guy. But anyway, yeah, you have that, and then he's actually sparring with Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I say I'm
Right.
not mistaken a lot because I'm thinking about a lot of different things. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Philadelphia Jack O'Brien. So yeah, that's the only thing we have right now. They used to do those new newsreels a lot. I guess it was a form of promo for the time, essentially. So that's the only thing we have of him, of course. But we know certain fights were filmed. Where they ended up, that's another story. That's a whole nother story, and
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. And I
yeah. It's
know some of those things didn't.
just made no sense, since he fought so many big names
It's
also, and
insane, insane.
yeah.
You're talking 300 fights or near there, and
I
no
mean,
film.
Gene Tunney and what's it? I mean,
Shame
mostly,
none of those Tunney fights are available. That would have been
yeah,
crazy, especially that first fight. I would have liked to see him break down
He's the only guy to beat Tony, right? Ever. It's the
Yeah, and
only
from all indications, he dominated Tunney. And Greb was a smaller fighter too. He
yeah,
came
like
in and
5'8".
dominated Tunney. So
Yeah.
it's insane. I wish we had the Mickey Walker fight, his fights with Tiger Flowers. I think that would have been cool to see him winning the title against Johnny Wilson. I mean,
Yeah.
so many. He fought everybody really. I saw
Hmm.
somebody posted. Oh yeah, I think it was Bruce Gas
Amazing. Yeah.
posted. Bruce Gas posted a picture of his fight with Tommy Lochran. I don't know. I don't recall if they fought more than once or whatever. I think they
I
might
know
have.
he beat some of these great light heavyweights. Jack Slattery, I believe. Jack, what is his
Oh yeah,
name? Jack
Jack
Slattery.
Slattery. Yeah, Jack
Yeah.
Slattery. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah. He
Um,
was world champion for briefly anyway.
yeah, Maxie Rosenblum's another one.
Yeah.
Greb
Yeah.
was in there with everybody. Pretty much
Slapsy
everybody.
Maxi.
Slapsy
Slapsy Maxi.
Maxie. He's another one who had like 300 fights but no film,
Mm.
which is crazy. We have no film of Slapsy Maxie, and he wasn't. Him
Right.
and Greb neither were big punchers, so they had to box their way through for the majority
Yeah.
of these fights. If you think about that, that's a ton of boxing taking place.
He's
Uh,
got over 200 wins. That's
yeah,
fucking, that's
yeah,
crazy.
insane. Yeah, I want to do a
Yeah.
video of Maxie Rosenblum, but him along with some others, I know they're going to be massive, so I have to kind of just plan that out. It's going to take a while because given how many fights they have, it's going to be massive. So that's the reason I haven't done anything on him, on like Harry Greb, or not Harry Greb,
Mm.
but Sam Langford. Harry Greb,
Right.
I did one, but I feel like it was like kind of scaled back, cut short because he has a massive career. I might have to do another one that is bigger
Mm.
that really focuses on a lot of those fights that he had that I didn't get to mention in the first video. No, yeah, Joshua Woods. Yeah, I mentioned Go Gans. Yep, he's definitely going to be on there. Another fighter died of tuberculosis. So at the tail end of his career, he was not the same fighter. Um,
What a
yeah,
fighter. And there was one fighter that boxed whilst he was blind, I believe.
Sam Langford was doing that. Harry Greb, he was blind in one eye.
Yeah,
Harry
there
Greb,
was
he was blinded.
several.
Like
Yeah.
Kid Norfolk, he got messed up. He took a thumb in the eye from Kid
Wow.
Norfolk, and I can't remember which eye, but he was blind for a number of years in that eye. He kept fighting. Sam Langford, similar thing. He got his eye messed up by Fred Fulton, who was a big punching heavyweight
Oh
from the
yeah, that guy, huge guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He was. He was a big guy. So and Langford kept fighting even when he was blind. I think in Langford's case, I believe it was both eyes were jacked up, and he kept going. But he was tough, a different breed. But he fought well past his prime, which
Hmm.
never bodes well.
Yeah.
He started in 1902 when he was fighting into the 20s, mid to late
Wow.
20s, somewhere in there. And of course, that never bodes well for you, especially considering the wear
No.
and tear. And he's a 300 plus fight guy, really more. A lot of these guys probably had more that weren't recorded. Um,
Yeah.
some sort of like private stuff you can
Some of them.
probably imagine.
Yeah. Some of them are virtually unknown today. Uh, you have like guys like this guy from Cuba, Angel Robinson Garcia, I believe his name
Hmm.
was. He had well over 100 wins, and but he was just he never won a world title. He didn't get so many big fights for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, yeah, interesting, interesting. Joshua Wood says Grab shadow boxing, but not much to judge. One, you get an idea of his style though. Walker has like 5 or 6 fights still out today. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Joshua Woods. Yeah, you can't judge it fully, but yeah, you do get a sense of his style, which yeah, I think it would be pretty cool. Yeah, if we did have some videos pop up. Yeah, I like Mickey Walker. Yeah, he's one of my favorite fighters to check out. At least from the little video we have, it's crazy seeing.
Boy, bulldog.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the toy bulldog is crazy seeing him. I like the he fought Jack Sharkey and did Max Smelling. It's crazy seeing him in there with those guys. He's really a middleweight in all actuality, but I guess welterweight you could say. But He came in, probably more middleweight, around light heavyweight, but it's crazy seeing him knowing where he started and being in there with heavyweights like Smelling and Sharky, and he gave Sharky a
Yeah,
pretty good run. And but Smelling, he's good. Smelling is an underrated heavyweight. He's actually very solid, and he had the competition to back it up as well. And you could just
yeah,
see
he
him
was.
break down Mickey Walker.
Yeah, he was a very good fighter. I mean, he could box and punch too. Just really good. How to say, systematical
Yeah,
fighter. And
Mickey
yeah,
bit off more than he could chew with that one. 'Cause he could punch, and he found out the hard way in that fight. So, but it's
yeah.
still pretty amazing seeing some of those smaller guys jump up there to those weights, looking to take on the best competition. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, sure, for sure.
Joshua Woods grabbed was filmed, but like 70% of the time period is lost. Yeah, that's pretty dang crazy. I know that there was
Hmm.
I saw on, I believe it's Library of Congress or wherever they archive or document things here in the U.S. I believe it's Library of Congress. They have a listing of all the films that they know were lost, and I know that there was a documentary on Tiger Flowers. He's the first black middleweight champion. Uh,
Yeah,
Thank you to Greb who took him on. Greb didn't duck anyone. Uh, and there was a documentary done on him, I believe, in 1926, before he died, but it was lost.
right.
It's confirmed lost, and it's just like, man, what the heck? But I can understand
Hmm.
it. I had a camera, and this is a little ramble, but I had a video camera in 2005, in 2000 or 2006 actually, and like I went to Iraq and all that, so I had some films and footage, or well, some video footage and all that, and had to use the little. It was one of those ones where you put this little small, almost cassette-like recorder tape thing in there, and that's how you did the recording. It wasn't a memory card based one, and I remember having all that video, and this was in 2006, and now I have none of it. I lost it all probably within
Hmm.
a few months, and some of it I just like, oh, tossed here or there, and then in hindsight. So basically, what I'm saying is, it's pretty amazing that we have some footage from way back in that day when we can't keep anything from a year ago. For some of us, right?
Yeah,
To something from a year ago. That's pretty insane.
yeah. No.
And Joshua said, I think I have the Slattery Delaney fight.
Oh,
Awesome. Jack Delaney,
lucky
right?
you. Yeah. Delaney was another hell of a puncher, true,
Yeah, I
beast.
know of this. Yeah, I know of Delaney. I know he was in with some good competition. I need to read
I
up on
believe he
him.
was maybe the first Canadian light heavyweight champion of the world, something like that, probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I
Mm,
know he was in with some pretty solid competition for sure. I've seen his name pop up
yeah.
on a number of occasions for sure. Delaney. And then Rodolfo says Fred Fulton is also from Minnesota. Oh yeah, um, yeah. That is the case. Yeah, and then he did a lot of fighting out of Rochester, New York. So he goes by the Minnesota Plasterer or the Rochester Plasterer. Shout out to Random Acoustic Thoughts who pointed out that fact. But yeah, he is another one of those guys from there. Pretty solid fighting history there in Minnesota.
I
Joshua Woods
thought
says
this,
Flowers is the other one lost film. Yep.
yeah, I thought Stanley Ketchel was also, but no, he's from
Michigan,
Michigan.
the
Michigan, yeah.
Michigan assassin. I think he's from Grand
Yeah.
Rapids, which is where Floyd Mayweather's from.
All
From
right, yeah, he was born. Yeah, that's right. In red. Yeah, he's from there.
And I think James Tony is from Grand Rapids as well.
Oh yeah, or
So,
is he just? Or I think he's from Ann Arbor actually.
oh, okay. Yeah, it
But
could be
that's
that.
probably close, or maybe he's. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
not
He's,
sure. Yeah, I know Ann Arbor is where the University of Michigan is.
oh yeah,
I had
right.
a friend that I have a friend who went there. But But yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, Michigan, yeah, that's a solid fighting state as well. A lot of them, of course, Pennsylvania has had a lot of great fighters out of
Oh
Pittsburgh
yeah,
alone. With Billy
yeah,
Gunn, Harry Greb. Uh,
Pittsburgh kid.
yeah, he's a Pittsburgh kid. There have been some others out of there.
There also that guy who later used it, Spadafora. He used that same nickname.
Oh, Paul Spatafor,
Yeah, Paul.
he was out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he is
Oh, okay, didn't know
the
that.
hard luck kid. It would have been a better nickname for him.
Yeah, he went to jail, right, or something like that.
Yeah, he
In the
like
middle of the
shot his wife or girlfriend or
Oh
something.
wow. Yeah, I know he's out, or at least he was out. He was talking about making a comeback. He might have made a comeback or some type.
I knew this guy who was also from Pittsburgh and just adored him because he liked that style of fighters, also that more defensive and stuff, technical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember him being in the Knockout Kings video games back in the day when they came out, and then all of a sudden you didn't hear about him anymore. But
really. But he was not a knockout guy at all.
yeah, yeah, that's the name they use. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, certainly false spatter freaking four. But yeah, it looked like
the guy who beat up Floyd Mayweather in sparring, so they say.
yeah,
That's pretty much his biggest claim to fame. I mean, the biggest thing he ever did was that.
yeah,
Even though he won a world title, but yeah,
yeah, he did. I see here IBF.
he was undefeated for a long time. It was like 46-0 or something, 44-0 maybe. I don't know.
Yep, he got beat in 2013 by someone named Johan Perez. Who I know
But
Johan?
yeah, that guy, I think he's from Venezuela or
Yep,
something.
yep, he is.
Now, recently, before there were, well, there were some fighters from Venezuela, but now there are really many, I
Oh
think.
yeah, remember
I,
what is Ricardo Torres? He was from Venezuela. Was he Venezuelan?
Colombia, I believe.
Oh,
Colombia.
Colombian. Okay, yeah, similar looking flags right there for sure.
Yeah, because it used to be one country long ago. That's what I heard. That's why, as well as Ecuador, also Ecuador,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't have that
They have a
many.
little
But
thing in the middle, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's like yellow, blue, and red.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then what did it? Romania is similar.
yeah, same. Yeah, almost the same kind of flag. But yeah,
Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
Romania. Yeah,
Joshua Wood says Kid McCoy killed his wife in prison, released, and ended his life. Oh wow! Kid McCoy is someone I want to do a video on, and
I don't think I know of him. Really.
Charles Kid McCoy. He goes by Charles Kid McCoy. He was from back in want to say late 1800s, early 1900s. He fought
All
some
right.
pretty solid competition, um, and I think he was middleweight champion, one of them, middleweight or welterweight. Uh, but I
Yeah,
believe might have been middleweight champion. I could be off though, but he was a very good fighter. But he had a lot of out of the ring issues. Mentioned, yeah, I didn't know about the uh, killing of his wife, but I knew he had some drama surrounding him. There, Joshua Woods, good stuff. He's someone I've wanted to do a
weird.
video on. I'll have to dive into some research on him because he yeah, I know he had a lot of off the out of the ring issues, and he had some connections with some, I guess you can say, mob like people. He had some of
Yeah, I
those type
mean,
of ties.
quite many boxers, especially in the old days, they would get mixed up with the wrong crowd after they retired, especially or even during their career, like Sonny Liston, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was always ties and accusations tied to Sony Liston for sure. Yeah,
Who,
there have been a few books on him. I read this one. Well, I listened to it more so. It was on Audible, but it was called "The Murder of Sonny Liston," and it goes over a lot of the stuff that was happening with Liston when he moved to Las Vegas, because that's
right?
where he was out of.
There's a, there was a movie also about that, that where he's played by a rather famous actor. I don't remember
Oh yeah,
exactly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's about his mob ties. That's all about. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
that's all the movie's about. Really, it's not about his life or career. I mean, before that, just about that shady part of his life.
Okay. Oh, Phantom Punch.
Mm,
2008 film called Phantom Punch. I
all
wonder if
right,
that's it. Maybe not. Oh,
that doesn't sound like that movie.
Ving Rhames plays Sonny Liston. I
He kind
think
of had took George Foreman, a young George, under his wing. They had like exhibitions, I believe,
that's
something like
pretty
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
There was so George Foreman. Who was George Foreman's trainer? Was Archie Moore for a little bit,
Um,
or no?
yeah, I don't remember. I know that he had for the Holyfield fight. He was trained by Angelo Dundee, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that was funny when he goes, you got a jab, George. That's he
Oh
never jabs. He never jabs, and he just
yeah,
goes,
man,
you got a
he
jab,
took some shots
George.
in that fight, man. He took some shots. He had a chin on him. I give him that. He had a heck of a chin.
Yeah, he could take so many.
Those
I
some
mean,
huge shots that Evander was dishing out.
yeah,
Hyphy says, listen to all this history talk while I do cleaning chores. Great stuff. Appreciate it, Hyphy. Appreciate it. Just dove into the history. Then this is supposed to be about 2022, but now we're back into the late 1800s, early 1900s,
yeah.
middle 1900s, which is perfect with that. Awesome. That's my mom saying awesome. Salute, salute. Appreciate it.
Also, we
Joshua Wood says, Liston could never get away from that life, even though he tried. Yeah, yeah, tough guy right there. I'm from the state of Arkansas, so yeah, I have some pretty high regards for Liston as a fighter, and I think he was pretty solid. If you look outside of the Phantom Punch fight, and then of course the first Ali fight, he had a pretty decent career. At least he we didn't get
had.
to see him against all of the top competition, but of course he did fight some pretty tough guys. Knocked out Big Cat Cleveland Williams. Um,
Floyd Patterson
yeah,
twice.
destroyed Floyd Patterson. Absolutely
Twice.
destroyed him. Yeah. So he's an intimidating guy for
Oh
sure.
yeah. With those long arms, he had freakishly long arms for
Yeah,
his height.
like 84-inch reach. I've heard
Yeah, like it
between
was.
83, 84 at 6'2".
Yeah, was he 6'2"? Even I thought he was 6'1". I don't know.
Well, yeah, 6'1". Yeah, 6'1" ish more so. You're right.
Yeah,
He's, he's been given some 6'2" credit, but yeah, really more 6'1".
yeah. In that Ali movie, he's played by a guy who was actually taller. He's a little bit taller than Will Smith, who plays Ali. Actually, I think Michael Bent. The
Okay. Michael Vick.
boxer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who won the world title that time?
yeah. I know he's like 6'3". So
Oh, okay. That's funny. Michael Vick. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember Tony was James Frazier.
yeah. Joe Frazier
I mean Joe Frazier. Yeah.
doesn't look like him at all, but all
That
right.
was funny. They were like, we're gonna work it any way we can. Uh,
Yeah,
Joshua Wood says, yeah, Archie trained Foreman, older Foreman, took a lot of old mongoose tricks. I think the older Foreman
my
had more skills.
goodness.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, that was the case. Yeah, Archie Moore training Foreman. See, that's another fighter, Archie Moore. There, man, one of the greatest of all time. I'm telling you, if you think about, and of course, every list is opinion. I haven't done a full fledged thinking on it myself, but if you think about like the 10 best fighters of all time, yeah, Archie Moore is one of those, arguably top five. I mean, he's seen it all, done it all in the sport of boxing, and he was a great older fighter as well, and moved up the weight. So it's pretty, yeah, Archie Moore, the old mongoose, straight up beast,
Yeah, it was amazing.
beast, and he was
Such
able
a
to
great,
train.
yeah, great puncher who also had the boxing skills as well.
132 knockouts, insane.
Yeah, wow. His fights with Harold Johnson in particular, they were classics, really classics.
Yeah.
Harold
There's been those
Johnson,
that have viewed him
both,
as the most skilled boxer ever, Archie Moore. That is.
yeah. And Harold Johnson was really, as slick as, he could be, very crafty fighter, but he didn't have that power like Moore, of course.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah,
was the decisive factor always in their fights.
yeah. Yeah, I know of Harold. I need to get more familiarized with old Harold Jackson.
Philadelphia, Harold Johnson.
Hmm. Paul Bright says James Tony was highly underrated in his opinion. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, certainly. He was a very crafty fighter, without a doubt. And he was
He
able to
was
take that
like
up to heavyweight.
shoulder roll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He was very, very much crafty, and he had that sort of that it factor, that not back down, willing to challenge himself thing about him.
like it was funny. You breaking up now. All right. It was funny when he kept going out. The Klitschko sisters, you like, oh, hey, you Klitschko sisters are going for you. And he's like eating a donut or a burger, and like, oh, fat and bloated, and five foot
Yeah,
10. He thought
yeah.
that he was gonna, beat them.
Freaking Tony. Yeah, he certainly didn't focus on the training there at the tail end of
Yeah.
his career.
You know, I remember one of the first things he said when he moved out to heavyweight. He was like, "Yeah, now I can eat more, of everything, of donuts and everything, burgers and
Yeah, and it showed as well.
yeah,
Freaking Tony, but yeah, Tony is underrated.
Burger
Certainly,
King, yeah, baby, Burger King."
freaking
That's
James Tony.
unforgettable. Who can forget that speech?
Yeah,
Tomorrow we're gonna go to the Burger King. Yeah, Burger King, baby, Burger King, Burger King.
yeah. Funny. Well, yeah, yeah, you're right, Paul. He's one of those guys who, when you hear the term throwback fighter, he's one of the old school ilk. Thinking about those guys who had a ton of fights, just fought a lot of top level competition, and
Hmm,
didn't back down. He's certainly of that old school ilk. So James Tony, lights out for sure.
hmm. Lights out. I believe he
Did
wanted to. He tried to have his own cigar like pushed into the market, like that would be cool. Lights out, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, and Joshua Woods
No.
mentioned Tony did some MMA fighting, if I recall. Yeah, I remember him and Randy Couture. Was it really much? Was it much of a fight?
No. That was a bad choice,
Yeah,
really.
but Tony, yeah, he was. I remember the build up to that. It was funny how the junk he was talking.
Always funny with him.
He went
His
down and
build
couldn't get
ups.
up.
And when that,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Hmm.
Oh, you can go ahead. You were about to say something.
No, I just remember when he was gonna fight Ruiz. That was all
Oh,
hell
okay.
broke loose. When that trainer of Ruiz, Norman Stone, was that guy. He liked to talk dirt, to use a lot of bad language, and he just kept calling him Tony the phony. So Tony would like get up and try to get at him, punch him.
Tony the phony.
Yeah.
That is funny. But yeah, old James Tony. So yeah, definitely a legend of the sport, without a doubt.
Yes. We
Uh,
are now getting on to almost two
I know
and a
two and a
half
half hours.
hours.
Okay, so this last one, Joshua Wood said, I think it was more Walcott messing up the count with Ali standing over him and not retreated. I think Liston was in the right to stay down until Ali was calmed down. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. Jersey Joe kind of messed that one up for sure. They were about to start back fighting again.
Hmm.
Jersey freaking Joe, another legend
Yeah,
of the sport.
Jersey Joe.
Tough fighter right there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he was.
you're right, Slavin. But yeah, so this went into a history discussion, which I'm always for. A lot
Yeah.
of great history that
I know it's hard to get you away. I'm also the same kind, But
yeah.
yeah, kind of.
So hey, Christmas Day 2023 boxing. We're expecting a big year. Let's hopefully it goes down. Hopefully it goes down. We get some of
Yep.
those big fights that we've been looking for that we haven't been able to get as of yet. Crawford Spence, Usyk Fury, Joshua Wilder, Joyce Wilder, etc., etc. Better Biev, Bivol,
Hmm.
Canelo, Bivol rematch.
Or Benavides.
Canelo Benavidez, yeah, even more
Yeah.
so. We don't need the rematch if we can get Benavidez versus Canelo. You know,
Yeah.
Jamal Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade. Hopefully, we can get that.
Would be nice.
But well wishing. So we'll see though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So you who pray, you better pray for all these fights to happen next year.
I don't know if
Right
even that will be
now.
enough. I don't even know if even
Yeah.
that will be enough, to be honest. But
We
yeah,
can
cool, good
always
stuff.
hope.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, we're hitting that 2 hour, 2.5 hours mark. Man, time flies. Time flies for sure. But
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna call this thing.
It was a Christmas podcast, so we gotta
Oh
have
yeah,
a little longer
we
time.
had to do it big. We had to do it big. Christmas.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, enjoy your Christmas. Go eat some good food. Open up some presents if you haven't already. Shout out to Santa and Mrs. Santa and all the elves that have been helping out, pushing things out there. We'll be back maybe next week on the new
Mm,
year, 2023. Maybe we can talk about 2023 in 2023. Just
yeah.
let me know your thoughts. We'll definitely link up on this, Bob. But yeah, thank you for everyone who dropped in for sure. Joshua Woods, Rodolfo, shout out Rodolfo. Appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully 23 is good. My mom, certainly. Hyphy, uh, Bruce Gas, Nick Hammer, Alan. Appreciate you, Alan, dropping by this thing. And did I miss anyone else? I don't want to miss anyone, but yeah, certainly everyone that came through here. Mr. Pads, yeah, Mr. Pads, and then Gaurav Sharma. I believe I got that right. If I got that wrong, let me know. But certainly Paul Bright as well. Paul Bright, yeah, certainly.
Mm,
Peace hyphy, everyone. Any closing thoughts
yes.
there, Boz?
Yeah, I mean, as I said it already, we can only hope and pray for a better boxing year. So,
Oh
yeah,
yes,
until then, just have to be patient.
indeed, indeed. Well, we'll practice patience, folks. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us here, and certainly we'll catch you maybe next week. So stay tuned.